All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Lunenburg Select Board. Today is Tuesday, February 10th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. We're going to begin tonight with announcements, and I have two. And the first is just one more reminder about dog licenses. If you still haven't submitted those to the town clerk, please do so soon. They're due by April 1st, and licenses will be available at the town clerk's office and online in the next couple of weeks. And there will be a public presentation and Q&A session by the fire chief about the fourth shift proposal for the fire department at the Lunenburg Adult Activity Center on Tuesday, February 24th at 5 p.m. So if you're interested in learning about why the department needs a fourth shift, and if you have any questions, then I encourage you to attend that event. It will be recorded by PAC and made available for viewing afterwards as well. All right, public comment. Is there any public comment from the board this evening?
No.
Any public comment from the public? Rhonda, come on up.
Rhonda Licio, 181 Reservoir Road. I have a public comment regarding the stormwater utility. I agree with the members of the Finance Committee who favor including stormwater in the budget instead of creating a stormwater utility. Compliance with a federal mandate should be included in the budget. All mandates, whether state or federal, should be prioritized above all else in the budget. This is the standard used in capital planning, and it should also apply to the budget. As the Select Board and Finance Committee review financial policies, funding mandates first should be a policy. I am opposed to collecting user fees to fund a mandate. We should be looking at increasing and/or creating more user fees for optional services utilized by smaller segments of the population, or even possibly eliminating certain services. There are too many cons associated with creating a stormwater utility. The proposal creates another administrative position. The fee structure places most of the burden on businesses. Property owners who itemize their federal income tax returns are allowed to deduct property taxes. Fees do not meet the criteria for a deduction. Regardless of what the consultant has stated, I have a difficult time believing the cost of compliance will remain stagnant. Aren't federal stormwater regulations already in a second revision? I have a hard time believing the cost to run the utility will not increase as the cost of all goods and services continue to rise. How can anyone be confident in stating the fees will not increase? An unfunded federal mandate should at least qualify as a deduction on a property owner's federal tax returns, regardless of the dollar amount. What I will be searching for in the upcoming discussion is more of a list of pros for establishing a stormwater utility, because so far I have heard only one, which is to ensure we are funding the mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thanks, Rhonda.
All right, any other public comment from the public? I see Mr. Burden on Zoom. Go ahead, Mr. Burden.
Yes, hi. I'd like to, this is George Burden, 39 Cortlandt Circle. I'd like to
To the
address
booth, can you turn the volume up in the room a little bit? We can't hear him.
Can you
All right,
hear me?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sure, George and Jennifer Burden,
No,
39.
sorry, we can't hear you still. To the booth, can you turn it up a little more? All right, try again.
George and Jennifer Burden, 39 Cortlandt Circle. We would like to address the board tonight and some of the residents of town. We'd like to provide some background of the continued issues that we've been raised regarding a malicious and intentional persecution of our family to try to silence us with intimidation, harassment, and provocation, stalking, etc. is a very disgusting situation, and it's been very disturbing to our family. Much more complexity to it but we wanted to share the below recent email regarding a recent request from a fairly recent appeal from a public records request. Given the situation on January 9th of 2024 during a select board meeting where Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Franco basically persecuted our family for doing nothing other than accusing us of basically Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Gamel of embezzling from our HOA, which we had never indicated whatsoever. We wanted to share the below, which is a very interesting public records request and a response from Mrs. Warren. This public records request revolved around a payment that was made to our HOA, and the response from Mrs. Warren is that there was no additional information other than an indication that a payment was made of $12,500. Very disturbing to us because we think some money might have been gone to somebody's pocket somewhere else, because we've been charged as an HOA and we're not getting books and records on that side. But this is relevant to the residents that should hear what we've been persecuted and what's been going on to our family. Supervisor of Records, we respectfully request that your office open a further review of Mrs. Warren's latest response, in which she asserts that no additional records exist regarding the town of Lunenburg's payment to the village at Flat Hill, a private homeowners association. This assertion is inconsistent with standard municipal financial controls and raises significant concerns about the adequacy and accuracy of the town's search for responsive documents. The only document that the town has produced is not an invoice at all, but rather an image of a general ledger invoice listing. Please see the attached email and image. It contains no description of the services, no vendor information, no dates of work performed, and no supporting materials. No actual invoice, purchase order, authorization, or work documentation has been provided. This raises an obvious and serious question. Why would a municipality issue public funds to a private HOA? And how could such a payment occur without a required supporting documentation? I can go on further, but this raises concerns of the issues that we were basically persecuted by Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Franco, indicating that we had been, accusing them and Mr. Gamel of embezzling from our HOA. Now we can't have an invoice produced, but there's being payments made, and this is a very recent payment. Furthermore, I think the town should know that the town has taken my wife and myself, basically our family of 3 daughters, to a civil complaint, what's called equity relief. There's no equity relief in this situation. It was a persecution again, and we will bring this forward as we need to. And that is what's going on in this town. If anybody wants to know and address us, please give us a call. We would be thankful for any support. This is a disgusting situation that should have never occurred in the small town of Lunenburg, let anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burden. Any other public comment from anyone on Zoom? All right, not seeing any. We're going to move on with the agenda, and we're going to go a little out of order tonight. So first, we're going to do the ratification of the appointments of Christopher Bergeron and Anthony Capucci to the positions of Sergeant of the Lunenburg Police Department, effective both February 10th, 2026. So I will invite up the chief and the 2 officers.
Good evening, Town Manager. Good evening, Select Board. The Lunenburg Police Department has 2 vacant sergeant positions. I'm pleased to recommend Officer Anthony Capucci and Officer Chris Bergeron for the position of Sergeant of the Lunenburg Police Department. Anthony has been with the Lunenburg Police Department since 2019. Anthony was hired first as a reserve officer, then was hired full-time and completed the MPTC Boylston Police Academy in 2020. Anthony has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Bridgewater State University, graduated in 2018. Anthony has spent time in many roles with the Lunenburg Police Department as a field training officer, sexual assault investigator, officer in charge of the 3 to 11 shift, and recently completed a frontline leadership and professional development training. I've worked with Anthony throughout his entire career with the Lunenburg Police Department, and I have personally supervised him during patrol officer assignments. I have found Anthony to be hardworking, self-motivated, compassionate, and a devoted employee of the department. The tasks that Anthony has been given as the officer in charge for the past year have helped train and guide the new officers of the department. Anthony took on these tasks and excelled at them. Anthony's dedication to the community and the department, along with his knowledge and work experience, have prepared him to be a supervisor in the next step in his career. I would like to recommend Anthony Capucci for the position of sergeant for the Lunenburg Police Department. Would you like me to read Chris's?
Yeah, you can read both of them.
Okay. We'll speed it up, right? I'm pleased to recommend Christopher Bergeron for the position of sergeant of the Lunenburg Police Department. Chris has been with the Lunenburg Police Department since 2025. Prior to Chris coming to the Lunenburg Police Department, he spent 10 years with the Hubbardston Police Department and served as an acting sergeant there. Chris graduated from the Worcester Police Academy in 2014. Chris has a master's degree in criminal justice from Anna Maria College, graduating in 2016. Chris is a field training officer, taser instructor, and an armorer with the department. I have found Chris to be hardworking, self-motivated, and devoted employee of the Lunenburg Police Department. The tasks that Chris has been given as the taser instructor and field training officer, he completes with minimal supervision and to the highest level. Chris saw a need for a taser instructor in the department, and he volunteered to take on these tasks, and he's excelled at it. Chris's knowledge of law enforcement and the dedication to the Lunenburg community and the department, along with his 10 years of police work experience, have prepared him to be a supervisor. I would like to recommend Christopher Bergeron for the position of sergeant for the Lunenburg Police Department. Thank you.
Yep. Do you guys want to talk?
I just want to thank my family and my wife for their love and support. Without them, I wouldn't be in this position. Same as my coworkers and friends, as well as you, all for the support to the department. I'll just say briefly, we have a great leadership staff at the department, and I look forward to the opportunity to get to contribute to that and continue it. So that's all.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, that's certainly going to be tough to beat. But as everyone knows, this job's not possible without support and love from our family, especially the community. And this community's been wonderful in my short time that I've been here, but it's been fantastic. The department has a great group of guys, and I just look forward to continuing moving forward.
Well, I thank you both for your dedication to the community, and congratulations, both of you, for this promotion tonight. And I'll open it up to any questions or comments from other board members.
No, just thank you very much for your service to the community, and I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
I just want to say thank you and congratulations as well. I don't know, many people know here, but not everyone knows that Anthony is my cousin, so I am very proud. This is so loud. Very proud of Anthony and watching his career progress here. And Chris, I know you joined after I left the department, but I've had the opportunity to meet you quite a few times, and I've heard nothing but good things, so that's great, and congratulations to both of you.
Awesome.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, congratulations, both of you. I think that this department is remarkable, and it's great when we can find leaders within our department to promote up and to guide the next generation, although I'm not taking any of your taser classes. I'm not going to be experimental on that. So, Chief, thank you so much for promoting these great candidates.
Thank you.
All right, so I will move to ratify the appointment.
Can you take comments from the public?
No, we're not doing that, Mr. Burden. I'm muting you. All right, so I'm going to move to ratify the appointments of Christopher Bergeron and Anthony Capucci to the position of sergeant effective February 10th, 2026.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, both of you.
Congratulations.
All right, so I'm assuming some of us want to get some pictures, so we're going to take a brief recess, and we'll be right back to continue on with our meeting. so coming up to the podium.
Hello, my name is Andrew Woods, 947 Flat Hill Road. I'm a staff member at the Club Lunenburg Teen Center right across the street. And every year we have a summer program, and we like to award kids scholarships that are less fortunate. And in the summer of 2025, we awarded over $25,000 in financial aid to 25 different kids, 60% more than 2024, which was double the year before that. All of which we raised through events, including our voluntary toll. We fully expect to need the same, most likely more. We do have permission from Chief Thibodeau of the Lunenburg Police Department and Bill Bernard of the Lunenburg DPW. And we do have traffic cones. We have 8 of them. We will have 2 on each toll section, you could say. We do have yellow safety vests for all of our volunteers. It is a completely volunteer position. We are not forcing anyone to do this. We have done it countless times before. All of our adult volunteers will be over the age of 18. And our date is Saturday, May 30th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the center of town. There is no rain date. I think I covered everything.
All right, awesome. Any questions from the board?
Just the hours weren't listed on the application, so if we could just.
Oh,
add those.
yeah, 10 to 2. So I was just
and
going to
you
add
said
it to
them,
the
just
motion.
Add it to, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like everything's in line. I don't know.
I mean, you guys do this all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know what you're doing.
Know the drill.
All right, anything else?
I'll just be an abstain.
Yep, okay, no worries. All right, so I move to approve the boot drive application for the club, the Lunenburg Teen Center, for Saturday, May 30th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Any abstentions?
Aye.
The motion passes 4-0-1.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
have a good night. I hope it
Thank
goes
you.
well.
Thanks.
Okay. Up next, we have a request from the director of the Lunenburg Adult Activity Center to dedicate the pavilion at the center in honor of Peter and Deborah Lincoln. So I'll invite you two up to the podium. Unfortunately, Deb Goodsell could not be here this evening, so I'm going to be reading the email that we got from her. And it says, "Dear members of the Select Board, I am writing to respectfully request the Select Board's consideration of dedicating the pavilion at the Lunenburg Adult Activity Center in honor of Pete and Deb Lincoln, in recognition of their generous contribution to the town of Lunenburg. The Lincolns have provided significant support toward the construction of this structure, and their contribution has meaningfully benefited the community. Dedicating the structure in their honor would serve as an appropriate and lasting acknowledgement of their generosity and commitment to the town of Lunenburg. If the Select Board is amenable to this request, I would welcome the opportunity to provide any additional information required, including details regarding the contribution, proposed dedication language, or signage consistent with town policies. Thank you for your time and consideration of this request. I appreciate the Select Board's service to the community and look forward to your guidance on the next steps in this process. Respectfully submitted, Deb Goodsell, Council on Aging Director."
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. He needs 2 knees replaced, so this is a miracle. It's a walking miracle.
So obviously, this was a very generous request that you guys made, donation that you guys made, and you guys are deserving of all the recognition, not only for doing this, but everything that you guys have done over the course of decades. Getting to know you guys over the past couple of years has been a joy, and I'm really privileged that I get to call you guys a friend. And working with the Council on Aging has been honestly the best part of my Select Board experience, and I just love going over there and attending your meetings, and I'm just grateful that I've really gotten to know you guys, and I really just want you guys to know that. So thank you for donating this pavilion to the town, and thank you for all that you do. And at some point, we'll do an actual dedication. This isn't really the extent of the festivities here for it, but I'm really grateful for not only this, but everything that you guys do.
I'd like to tell you just a bit how this came about.
Sure.
The Eagle House had a huge Title V burial mound behind it when it was first restored, and then the town shortly after that put in a sewerage, so the mound was useless. I got Dan Proctor to remove the mound, but there was still a lot of dirt and trouble back there. So we got a grant which supposedly was going to take the dirt out, put in cement tracks around the bocce and the shuffleboard courts, sod it, and build a pavilion. They ran out of money, didn't do the sodding in the pavilion, so what we had was 2 cement tracks full of dirt to nothing. And it was not so much beneficence, but necessity that we decided to fund this, so it has some use, because glacial speed is what usually happens with these sorts of things. I would like to say, too, that I think the town has a gem now over there, and I think that if the town band played there instead of in front of the Passios building, it has no interference from 2A sound. There's plenty of parking up there. You can park much closer. The sight lines are far better, and I think the acoustics are a lot better, too. And there's plenty of room for up to 300 people in that backyard, so I hope they decide to use this now that we've donated it.
Yeah, we can see if we can do that this year. I'll make a note of that. But it is a really great area, so if we can start having the band concerts there, why not?
And we did not do this for accolades, so we're very, very appreciative of this gesture. And also, being a member of the 300th committee, there are lots of activities that we're hoping to have there in this pavilion, and thank you. We are not, this is not what we expected, but thank you so much. And wait a minute, I don't know if this is official because I didn't hear everybody else say, okay. So-
It's not official yet. No, we didn't get to that part yet. So I'll open it up to the rest of the board.
No, just thank you. It is an amazing resource and look forward to, capitalizing on it. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for all that you do for the community, and I think this is a great idea.
I want to thank, I know you didn't, as you said, didn't ask for this, but I think I wholeheartedly support it. I think it's a great idea and probably overdue. Your generosity and your contributions to the town are well-known and have been many. And it's a nice, really nice area back there now. And I am old enough to go to the Adult Activity Center, so I really
It is for everyone, though.
It is.
Yeah, but no, I really appreciate it, and I'm really glad that the director brought this forward.
One other item I just had brought up, the russet potato was invented there, in that spot where the pavilion is. It's the #1 potato that Burbank left here, and it's the #1 potato still used by McDonald's. So
Is this true?
Yes,
Someone-
yes. Know that?
I can't tell if you're,
No.
is that really true?
Someone brought this up during a Super Bowl party, during the Lay's commercial.
Mr. Lincoln, we're going to connect afterwards, and we're going to do a little social media video about this.
Well, we're hoping McDonald's can sponsor a 300th committee here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there will be, hopefully for the 300, there'll be a memorial out there.
So,
A potato-shaped rock and
Yeah.
maybe
Have we
Ronald
found one yet?
McDonald or something. I
We're
don't
still
know.
looking.
No, we're still looking for that potato-shaped rock.
If the
Okay.
public has any,
Amanda has,
it's okay. I'd like to echo everyone else's thoughts. Mr. Lincoln, you retired my freshman year, so I didn't have a chance to have you as a teacher. But watching my mom's public service and then now my own, I know what pillars of society you both are, and your contributions are too many to name. So I really appreciate Deb bringing this forward, and I'm really appreciative of both of you and all of your public service. And it's a beautiful facility, and I love the ideas that we're bringing forward, and it's a great place to gather. So thank you both.
thank you.
thank you.
All right, with that, I will move to approve the request from the director of the Lunenburg Adult Activity Center to dedicate the pavilion in honor of Peter and Deborah Lincoln.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. I look forward to the official dedication, which will probably be in a few months when the weather is nice. And we will recess and take a picture so you guys can get your full recognition here. So we're going to take a brief recess, get a picture, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Candid
Okay, let's see. What do we have next? All right, up next is a joint meeting of the Select Board, Planning Board, and Stormwater Task Force for the presentation on the Stormwater Utility Bylaw. So I will invite up members of the Stormwater Task Force. I know the Planning Board is maybe just Mr. Brenner tonight, but I will invite you up too. And then if the Stormwater Task Force has a quorum, and you guys post it, then I'll ask the chair.
It is not
who's-
posted.
It
Should I
wasn't
recuse
posted?
myself?
Should you
We,
what?
if you count me, we have a quorum,
Okay.
but it's not posted. Should I can
Well,
recuse myself.
if it wasn't posted, then,
No,
Is
so if the Stormwater Task Force members do not opine this evening, then you can participate. If they don't, I mean, it's whether or not you're deliberating.
right.
I would like them to be able to
Okay.
speak, so, because they were at
Yeah.
FinCom's presentation last week.
Right.
I was not, so, okay, I'll just recuse myself.
Okay.
Just, or you don't have to leave the room, just don't.
Well, just don't
Deliberate.
speak as a member of the Stormwater Task Force, that's all. Okay, and then, aren't you guys also?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
you can
come on up.
You guys can talk.
You're part of this too?
I won't talk.
Matt, stay.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. Okay,
I will-
so there's 3 microphones, just share them between you guys, it looks like there's enough. It's red, so you will have to press the button to speak, and you'll just see it light up green. And with that, I will pass it over to you guys.
Is the PowerPoint, are we running it from up here?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Okay, so I can't host.
okay, hold on one second, let's get this PowerPoint presentation figured out. So if I pull it up, I might be able to here, I don't know if it'll let me.
Yeah, there's a problem with when you're the host
I know.
running the PowerPoint. I can try to go in on my Gmail. Nope, that's the one to the Finance Committee.
Yeah, that's the
Oh.
wrong.
Oh. That's the only PowerPoint I have in the drive.
It's in a PDF, that's why.
Okay.
You know what, can you, yeah.
Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see if it lets me share. It might not anyway, so it's probably not. No, it's not gonna let me
You
share.
want me to join Zoom and share?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Renee, thank you.
Since I can't talk, I'll share.
All right.
It's the PDF.
Hold on one second. We're gonna get it up.
Yeah, let me just get to the agenda.
We cannot figure out that setting on Zoom, because if you look,
That seems backwards. If you're the
If you look
host,
it in.
you should be able to.
Huh? Oh, yes, actually, yes. They did ask ChatGPT. And what it looks like it should do is not, it's like, the setting is set like,
It's a really strange setting.
It
I don't
really is,
understand
that the
why
host
the
can't-
host shouldn't,
I know.
yeah, whatever. All right, Renee, I see you. I'm letting you into the Zoom.
Okay. Okay, there might be an echo to start, just bear with me. Okay, is there an echo? No? Okay. Share. Jeez.
so when it does come up, and you'll see it on that screen behind, to your right, that is live on cable, so there's a few second delay. So if you don't see the slide but have indicated next slide, it'll get there.
Yep. And it looks like Renee has it up, so thank you very
Okay,
much for
hold
that,
on, I'm getting
Renee.
an echo on my side.
You're getting an echo on your side?
Yeah. I can hear your audio. Can you just,
Do you remember what that setting was? that
Mute
you
me.
fixed last time?
It's, you have to do the mute off your computer, like your,
I did that.
up there, is that it?
See, look, I'm muted, you unmuted me.
I think we're good. I think we figured it out. Yeah.
It was like that. I still hear myself,
You're still
but
hearing?
it's okay, go ahead.
Okay.
You're not.
All right,
I'm
for
not-
real this time. Go ahead. Thanks for the patience.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Bill Bernard, DPW Director. To my left, I have Jarvis Swartz from.
I'm sorry, what
Weston-
was that? What's your name?
Jarvis.
Jarvis,
Swartz
okay.
From Weston and Sampson. She's our engineer helping us with this utility, so I'll turn it over to Jarvis.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. It's great to be here. A lot of what I do at my job is centered around stormwater compliance, helping communities with all facets of stormwater implementation, design, planning services, and one of the big initiatives we've been helping more and more communities with lately is actually implementing a stormwater funding mechanism to fund all of those priority stormwater needs. So like Bill said, I came on board to kind of help the town navigate this process. And so what we're hoping to talk about tonight is actually the adoption of the stormwater utility bylaw, moving that forward. The town is looking forward to putting that forth at town meeting in the spring to try to get that passed. And the goal here really is to kind of do this in phases, right? So putting the bylaw forth first provides kind of the framework of what the utility is going to look like, provides all of those details about how those funds will be spent, who funds will be collected from, kind of just really provides a level of kind of public engagement and knowledge around the stormwater utility. Oh, that's going to show issues here. So I don't know if that's...
So just hold on one second.
Okay, sure.
Oh, I think we have,
The microphones are back on.
Microphones are back.
Yep.
It's not going to work. I don't know why it's frozen.
No, I'm just waiting to see the Renee's screen through the feed here so that we can show the folks at home the PowerPoint as well. Okay, there it is. I see it. All right, so that screen should catch up in a second.
Okay, great.
All right.
Yep, nope, that's the exact slide. So one of the first steps, like I said, at a town meeting in the spring would be to basically adopt the enabling legislation, so basically allowing the town to establish a separate account, basically an enterprise fund for the utility, and this would be for the sole purpose of raising funds to dedicate to stormwater initiatives, just kind of similar to like the sewer enterprise that the town currently has in place. And then as part of that effort, again, adopting the bylaw, again, providing that level of just transparency, education and engagement to the public about what the utility would look like. At this point, going forward to Springtown meeting, and other communities have, passed the enabling legislation, maybe set up a stormwater utility bylaw, but at that point, there's no budget that's put forth at the same time. We're looking to delay that portion of the process. So at this point, I just want to make it clear that even if the town were to move forward with adopting the bylaw and the enabling legislation, it doesn't mean that any fees would be collected at that point. No fees would be collected until a budget went before a town meeting and that budget was actually approved by the public. So there's communities out there that have adopted this enabling legislation maybe several years ago, but are currently not collecting any fees. So what are some of the stormwater budget drivers? Why do we feel like a stormwater utility is important? And I think, this is gaining a lot of traction in Massachusetts these days. We're seeing more and more utilities. We're finally kind of catching up a little bit with the rest of the country. So, in other portions of the country, utilities have been around for many, many years. It's just we've kind of lagged here a little bit in the Northeast. And one of the more recent drivers has been this MS4 permit. So this is a federally mandated permit. EPA is the authority in Massachusetts that administers this permit. And it's all about water quality, improving receiving water quality. So the town storm drain system is regulated under this permit. Those discharges from the town's storm drain system are regulated through the permit. And again, I think we can all agree that we want to be able to utilize fully the benefits of all the recreational water resources that we have in town. And so really, again, this is about water quality, this permit. The other piece of this, which kind of overlaps with the permit is the operation and maintenance piece, having the funds to be able to conduct regular catch basin cleaning, street sweeping, which obviously lends itself to water quality improvements as well as flood mitigation needs. The other thing is that, a lot of the storm drain systems in many communities, they're the utility that's kind of been forgotten. We have a lot of focus on drinking water, wastewater, not a lot on stormwater. So many communities don't even really know what the condition is of their drainage system. It's like unknown. It hasn't been tapped. And until there's a major flooding issue and then they go in and camera the system, they really don't know what the condition is. So it's trying to obviously get ahead of that, being proactive instead of reactive in that scenario. Resiliency planning, obviously, we're seeing more frequent, severe storm events, lots of, more need for flood mitigation planning. And so, again, that would be another driver here. And the last one is just, insufficient staffing and equipment. So being able to have the resources, the staff that's needed to facilitate managing and operating the town storm drain system. And I like to think of it like this too. I think, everybody wants to have the resources that they need to do their job well. And when I talk to different DPW directors, it just seems like there's so much that they want to do for the public. They want to be responsive, but they just don't have the budget to address those needs. And so I just feel like it's unfortunate to be in a position where you want to do your job well, but you don't have the resources. And so this is really giving Bill the resources he needs to be able to do his job effectively. In terms of the current financing strategy, the DPW operational budget that's used for, is used for MS4 permit compliance, but it's really insufficient at this point in terms of the town being fully compliant with the permit requirements. Capital funds are used for purchase of equipment. Chapter 90 funds are often used for drainage projects, and the shortcoming there is that there's so many other needs that Chapter 90 funds could be applied to, and a lot of times, communities are like, oh, all my funds are, more of my funds are going to drainage because that's the only, funding source that I have. When, if we were to take drainage out of the equation there, we could be spending a lot more money toward, or allocating more funds toward paving, toward sidewalks, other, important needs of the community as well. So thinking about how if we have our own funding source for stormwater, we can kind of replenish almost some of that Chapter 90 funding and allocate it to other needs. So what exactly is a stormwater utility? So it operates like any other type of utility, electric or water, collecting fees solely for the purposes of managing the town's stormwater system. Again, it's a dedicated funding source. Those funds cannot be used for anything else but stormwater. And the funds that are collected match what the needs are of the community. In terms of the process and setting up a stormwater utility, obviously this is something that the Stormwater Task Force has been, talking about for a while now, and there's lots of different steps to kind of get us to the end point. One is, looking at the capabilities, in-house capabilities, external resources and needs, kind of putting together a budget. And one of the important things too when you're looking at this is it's good if we can even look beyond the first year and look outward, maybe do a 5-year budget plan. The permit is actually a 5-year permit, and we're at the tail end of this current permit. It's actually an expired permit. It's been administratively continued until a new permit comes out. We've seen a new draft permit, but it's not final yet. So I know there was concerns about, thinking about, do these costs increase regularly? And again, based on my own experience living in a community with a utility, our costs have stayed the same. And I think that's true for a lot of communities now, because the piece is the upfront planning. You have this 5-year permit, and the minute that permit comes out, you start looking at, okay, what is my outlook here? What is it going to cost me to comply with this permit over the next 5 years? There's certain items that are going to be in this permit that are prescriptive. They have to be done in certain years. But there's other items where you're going to have more flexibility, and you're going to be able to spread out the financial, costs over a number of years. So you put together kind of that outlook, and you plan accordingly. So you're raising enough each year to keep your fee the same. You're pulling in the same amount of revenue each year, and you're planning out so that you're meeting the requirements. And I guess that's how I've seen communities approach it. So they're really not, going back every year and increasing this fee. So as part of that analysis, or the other piece of this, I guess it's important to look why the stormwater utility is an important, resource, and in terms of the setup, we talked about more equitable distribution of collection of those kind of fees. So we talked, I know a little bit about at the Finance Committee meeting about a flat fee for the single-family residential properties, but then other properties with more impervious area making more of a contribution to the stormwater system would pay based on the amount of impervious surface. So right now we're in the process of doing an update on the impervious surface analysis and trying to kind of really get a fee structure in place that we think is kind of fair and equitable. And so we're working on gathering kind of that data as part of this process, and then relooking at kind of what a rate structure and fees would look like to kind of meet the town's current stormwater needs and into the future as well. And obviously, a big part of this is also public engagement and outreach and being able to, answer the questions that the town has as well, and making sure that the public's comfortable and on board with the process, of course. So again, the town is looking at a phased approach going before annual town meeting this spring. There would be a warrant article that would look to establish, adopt the enabling legislation like I spoke of, and also approve a stormwater utility bylaw. Again, no fees would be collected at that time. Then, looking beyond that, at fall town meeting, a stormwater budget would be put forth for approval by the town at that meeting. And if that were approved, then you would move to collecting fees to support the utility. I don't know if you had a chance to look at, there was a draft stormwater utility bylaw that was distributed, and so I was just going to kind of quickly rock through kind of the framework of that bylaw. This just kind of outlines the various sections of the bylaw. Section 1 establishes kind of the general provisions of the bylaw. Again, it's a dedicated municipal program. That money is just being allocated to managing the town's stormwater system. One of the things that's a little still to be needs to be determined at this point is who is going to be assigned the administrative implementation and enforcement authority. And one of the things that the Stormwater Task Force is looking at is potentially the formation of a stormwater commission. So this would be set up similar to the sewer commission, but the stormwater commission, would be tasked with administering the utility. So that, again, that's kind of highlighted there. That's to be determined at this point. It also talks about the purpose of the utility, obviously protecting public health as a driver. We talked about water quality, reducing flooding and property damage, improving overall stormwater quality, and again, ensuring that we have that long-term stable funding source for stormwater management needs. And again, the program is explicitly linked in the bylaw to the MS4 permit as being kind of the driver for compliance. In terms of the authority, again, it relies on Mass General Law, Chapter 83, Section 16, which allows municipalities to collect a fee for stormwater services. And just, again, confirming that this, is a utility-based fee. It is not a tax. So just important to kind of note that. So, nobody is exempt, essentially, for the most part, from the utility fee. Everybody would be paying the fee. Section 3 just kind of goes over some general definitions, broadly defines what a stormwater management system is in the facilities. Again, it's not just the constructed infrastructure, it's also the natural system. So thinking about, man-made swales and stuff as well, that would be protected as part of this. And it establishes the stormwater utility as an organizational structure, delivering those services for a fee to the general public. As far as the scope of responsibility in Section 4, the town is responsible, obviously, for operating and maintaining this system and providing the public with, a functioning stormwater management system. So essentially, stormwater facilities on private property would not be supported through this utility unless they are through an easement that is owned by the town. Private, any stormwater on private property would remain the responsibility of the property owner. Section 5 goes over the establishment of stormwater fees. Again, establishing a stormwater utility fee for the use of town-owned stormwater system and services. Fee collection responsibilities right now we're saying would lie with the Department of Public Works unless the Stormwater Commission otherwise directs another entity for responsibility. The Stormwater Commission would be tasked, the way this is currently kind of set up in this framework, would be to adopt the rate schedule through a public hearing process. Right now, we're saying that rate changes would be limited to, no more than once per year. And again, in my experience, I've seen rates stagnant for 5 or more years. But it is important to revisit the budget and, you know, obviously if there's a need to collect additional revenue, that the rate is being adjusted accordingly. Section 6 just talks about the establishment of the stormwater fees. Again, just that everything has to be used for stormwater-related purposes. Operation, maintenance, capital improvements, administration, inspection, and enforcement, all allowed to be used. The funding's allowed to be allocated to those needs. Section 7 talks about exemptions. You know, the purpose is that, you know, all developed properties are going to contribute to stormwater runoff. Everybody uses the municipal roadways and relies on you know, the stormwater management systems on those roadways functioning properly. So your streets aren't flooded, you're able to get to work, get where you need to go. So the only exemptions as part of the utility would be town-owned property. And the only reason for exempting town-owned property is that essentially you would be kind of just billing yourselves again and have to raise that revenue through the general fund. So typically, not always, but, you know, typically communities do exempt town-owned parcels. Undeveloped land, if it doesn't have any impervious surface area, you know, obviously there would be no fee since this is all based on impervious surface area, how the fees are assigned. And of course, the public right-of-way. The funds are, you know, used to support the drainage infrastructure in the public right-of-way, but you know, the public right-of-way is not actually, you know, billed or anything through the utility. Section 8 talks a little bit about billing, delinquencies, and credits. So, you know, one of the things that we've talked about, I think they're, you know, the town has looked at an annual bill, is what they're thinking right now for frequency. Again, this is still to be determined. One of the things that a lot of communities also do is they develop what's called a credit policy. So if you're managing your stormwater on your property, managing and treating your stormwater on your property, you may be eligible for a credit. So usually up to 50% of the fee could be, you know, credited back to the property owner in that sense. And so that's, you know, obviously anything that property owners are doing on their own property is helping in terms of, you know, improving stormwater quality, maybe meeting the permit needs in some capacity. You know, so if the town can take advantage of that credit, then obviously we want to return that credit to the property owner. And so, you know, the Stormwater Commission would look at structuring with the, you know, DPW some type of credit policy for stormwater improvements. Section 9 just kind of outlines the appeal process. You know, if you would have had an issue, maybe you're saying that you think the impervious surface area that's been calculated for your property is incorrect. You know, you could, you know, request a review by the Department of Public Works, and, you know, if you weren't satisfied with the decision, at that point you could elevate things to the Stormwater Commission and request a public hearing. Right, and the last piece just kind of outlines next steps. So again, we're going to the hope is to bring forth the enabling legislation and the stormwater utility bylaw to Springtown meeting for approval. We are looking to move forward with more public engagement around what a stormwater utility would look like in Lunenburg, and that right now tentatively scheduled the next public information session is on March 5th. We're looking again at kind of revisiting the stormwater budget. We got some feedback from the Finance Committee last week, so we'll be re-looking at some of the suggestions that were made as part of that meeting, trying to finalize this fee structure. We talked about how we're waiting on some updated impervious surface data, so that'll kind of play into how the fee structure gets ultimately finalized. And then again, you know, assuming we can keep moving things forward, the goal would be to potentially bring the stormwater budget to town meeting for approval in the fall. So that's kind of the process of how things look right now.
Awesome, thank you very much. So I assumed at first incorrectly that these were new requirements that we had to get into compliance with, but that's actually not the case. These have been around for a while, right? How long have these?
Yeah, so the first permit came out in 2003. It was a 5-year permit. It expired. It was administratively continued for several years. The permits have gotten progressively more stringent. So if you look at how many requirements, I think we like to say there was like maybe 16 requirements in that permit. 2016, a new permit was released. It became effective in 2018, had more than 200 requirements. So, and as we shift to this new permit, again, a draft permit came out a little over a year ago that we're waiting for EPA to finalize. We're just seeing it's still planning, but more implementation based. So we're just seeing the more need to implement more construction projects, replacement of catch basins, just, you know, stuff that invariably is going to cost the town more money to comply with.
Have we ever been in compliance with this? No? Okay. What happens if we're not in compliance?
So EPA has fined communities in the past. I've had several meetings recently with EPA regarding deficiencies that communities had with certain requirements that EPA is focused on. So like last Thursday, I had a meeting with EPA and the community, and we talked about what's needed to get into compliance on one of the requirements. And so what happens is we work with EPA to define a schedule to get back into compliance, and they issue an administrative order. So, and that administrative order kind of outlines a timeline for compliance. I mean, I don't think, EPA does want to work with communities. They're not looking to fine communities immediately. But, like they said at the meeting last week, this outlines the schedule. If you can't meet the schedule, then, okay, next steps after that could be that they might have to, levy fines against the community.
Are they typically larger communities? Like what type of communities are getting on their radar?
So I'd say for instance, this one requirement, there's about 250 communities in Massachusetts that are subjected to this requirement, or subjected to this permit, obviously, and then the requirement is applicable to all of those communities. So, I mean, they were going through, I had heard that they were going through the entire list of every community. So, I had meetings with communities that are smaller, larger, they wanted to ensure that all communities were fully meeting this requirement.
We received anything from the state?
Not the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, the EPA. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, too, I think it'd be important to mention is that EPA also does audit communities. So I've participated in an audit process with clients before. And usually you don't have a lot of time to pull information together. You'll get a letter from EPA, basically have 2 weeks to produce all of the documentation for compliance with the permit. You hand that over to EPA, and then they schedule a series of meetings to kind of go over the information that was produced. Usually they like to do site visits that are kind of unannounced sometimes, kind of, maybe inspecting certain facilities, looking at how you oversee different development projects throughout the construction process. So that's just another thing to, kind of think about, that they are doing those audits periodically. It's just hard to say who's getting targeted as part of that. We don't really know.
Yeah, so I was wondering if there's like some sort of deadline, but obviously once I realized that this has been around for a while, I realized that wasn't the case. So
Right.
I'm not sure which I like more. Like, it also isn't really comforting to know that they just sort of randomly might, single Lunenburg out for not being in compliance, but
Right.
obviously the goal is to just get in compliance, so that
Right.
doesn't happen.
And so every year, the town submits an annual report that documents compliance with, kind of compliance to date, certain initiatives that were required to be completed that permit year. And so EPA is reviewing those annual reports. And so that's how they're collecting, obviously, some of their data about non-compliance and reaching out to communities about, particularly into that meeting I had last week was related to an annual report filing. They followed up, still hadn't, adopted the required regulations. And so that spurred a meeting with EPA.
So I do see Mr. Wallace is here, the town's new Director of Planning and Economic Development. He's raising his hand. If you want to come on up, you're welcome to sit at the table. You can be part of this conversation, too.
I just wanted to ask a question.
Sure.
In the town's annual reporting, that's where they list all the stormwater permits that they've issued in the previous year. Am I correct in that assumption?
So they asked for an accounting, the number of permits that have been issued, as part of development
Planning
projects.
board issues stormwater
Yeah,
permits.
yep, there's some metrics that are included in that report. How many site
An
inspections
inventory of what
you've
we
completed.
issued for that year, and that's part of your report.
Yep, yep. Site plan reviews, construction inspections, any enforcements that were taken. Yep, they're taking that information.
Okay. So maybe this is a question for Bill, too. So I'm curious, what work needs to be done that is not being done now in order to meet these 200-plus requirements that the EPA has for us?
Right, so we've done a lot of the requirements for the planning portion. It's the maintenance portion we're not getting done. So it's the catch basin cleaning and the roadway sweeping are the two big ones that we're not getting done, not even coming close.
Okay. And I saw somewhere that it's about like $300,000 additional in work that we need to fund in order to get into compliance. Is that sort of correct?
Yeah, that's my estimate. It's $340,000 to do
okay.
that work to
On
get
top
us into compliance
Would you say, Renee?
On top of the 110,000 that's currently in the
in the
operating
budget.
Right, right. So go ahead.
Can I just jump in with a
Yeah, of
clarifying
course.
question here?
Sorry, I have a lot of questions, so.
So the 340,000, that's your estimate for compliance, or that's your estimate for, your current estimate for the budget, for the stormwater, if there was a utility budget?
I think it would get us very close to compliance.
Okay.
Not 100%, but
Okay.
Okay.
And then just the other thing that I wanted to kind of follow up on is Bill was a little light on saying about the catch basin cleaning and the street sweeping and what's happening. And I said to him, having observed the presentation to the Finance Committee, I was not even clear on some of that. So I'm going to ask you just to reiterate. What is it in terms of street sweeping and catch basin cleaning that we are supposed to be doing on an annual basis that we are not currently doing? Rough percentages, if you.
right, so the permit says clean every catch basin in the urbanized area yearly and sweep every roadway in the urbanized area twice yearly. So percentage-wise, I think the best year since I've been here is maybe 1%.
Okay. Gotcha. Go ahead.
Would this utility, I understand it would be funding, I want to make sure I understand, it would be funding the needed equipment? No?
No.
It would be funding the person hours to, so let me back up. What explicitly would this utility be funding?
Right, so the biggest expense would be the sweeping and the catch basin cleaning would be gone out to bid, so done by contractors. And then the engineering part of it, that's in my operation budget now, it would switch over to the utility. That's the biggest cost.
So you mean engineering plans for improvements or changes to catch basins and other stormwater infrastructure?
That in the reporting requirements and the sampling requirements and other requirements, yeah.
Would this also include funding for the maintenance and improvement of the rest of the stormwater infrastructure? I'm thinking specifically of the culverts, the many culverts that need to be replaced in town, and how that eats into our capital budget substantially is such an understatement. But this also would include the culvert maintenance and improvements and others, similar capital level improvements that need to happen?
So not immediately. So the budget we presented basically just covers the maintenance requirements of the MS4 permit. Maybe as the money grows, we might be able to start taking on projects, but that may not be for years.
Okay, so the utility would basically only be paying for catch basin cleaning?
For MS4 compliance.
Yes, okay. There's so much stormwater everything that I'm trying to understand what is and isn't covered budgetarily by this utility. So, okay, I think that answers my questions for now. Thank you.
Okay. I have a few more questions, but I'm just going to open it up to the rest of the board first. So if you guys have any other questions or comments, then you guys can go ahead first before I ask the rest of mine.
Can I just make, before we go down the line?
Sure.
I think for anyone that is watching this, it would be helpful to just reference the meeting where Bill presented the budget to FinCom.
Oh, that was last week, right?
So it would be the Thursday, February 5th,
Okay.
2026 Finance Committee meeting. There was a lengthy discussion with Finance Committee on where the budget was presented. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for calling that out. And one of my questions, actually, I guess we'll just ask it since we're talking about this now. You mentioned that they had some feedback recommendations. I didn't watch it, so can you just summarize like how that meeting with the Finance Committee went and maybe what some of the feedback they had was?
Well, I was going to say one thing. I think that there was a strong feeling that, they didn't feel like a separate utility needed to be set up, that this could be funded through the general fund. And I think what we were just saying as part of that, we've seen this with other communities before. I mean, there's always good intentions. Okay, we're going to have this great stormwater budget line item. And, there's just so many competing needs, and stormwater is just not a priority, I think, in the end. And so I think we've just seen where that, gets kind of chipped away at that budget. And in the end, you don't end up getting what you really need. And so we're just, we see the utility as just a way to protect that funding. It's, Bill will know every year how much money he's going to have for stormwater because it's predetermined. He'll know what he has to work with. Where I think, so that was one of the things. I know the other thing was just how the funding was being set, how the budget was being set up, right? So Bill was looking at hiring some staff, maybe like a stormwater, engineer. And so they were just concerned about, that there's a lot of, additional costs when you hire someone, overhead costs. And so is that the best use of the funds that are being raised? Should more of that be outsourced?
Right. I mean, I don't really know if we have the capacity to handle this in our operating budget without making significant cuts. And, I'm sure, Bill, you have plenty of other things that you would like to fund with the Chapter 90 money. And, we already have so many capital project requests that we can't fund each year. And this would just take away from all of the good projects that we have in town that we just don't do because we don't have enough money to go around. So, I don't know, it's just my 2 cents where I'm at right now. So unless there's like a third option that maybe some communities are coming up with, because I know that was mentioned at some point by someone in the community. I mean, are you seeing any other creative ways that municipalities are coming up with to pay for all this?
Yeah, I know there was a mention of is there a regional stormwater utility option?
Okay.
That's nothing we've seen yet in Massachusetts. I know there's been studies done, I know in Connecticut recently, but we haven't seen that implemented, in Massachusetts or, neighboring states, I guess, at this point.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to open it up to other board members for questions.
Do you know approximately how many communities in the state have adopted stormwater utilities?
So I want to say it's at least 30 at this point, but I know there's so many more that are in the works. I'd say the true number is probably closer to 40, 50 at this point. I mean, the city of Boston just implemented a stormwater utility in the last couple of years.
And you said around like 200?
So there's about 250 communities in Massachusetts that are subject to the permit requirements.
Okay.
And it does differ. I mean, I just want to say there's certain base requirements that are the same, but as it relates to, and we talked about this a little bit last week, but there's certain impairments. So if you're driven by a certain type of impairment, a nutrient impairment, with the town being subject to the discharging to the National River, which is impaired for phosphorus, that brings on a lot of additional, more costly requirements. I know last week I had mentioned something about, those communities that are within the Charles River watershed. The costs are, they're subject to reducing phosphorus by a certain load, by a certain time frame, and those costs are millions of dollars annually for compliance, because a lot of it's, non-structural controls, enhancing your street sweeping, catch basin cleaning, but implementing those structural controls, and it's really about infiltrating stormwater so it doesn't reach those receiving waters, and it's a very costly initiative, yeah. So that's why there is some variation for communities, and I think some are able to, it's not as big of a piece, and maybe they can fund it through the general fund. But I do think a lot of communities are moving toward a utility.
Gotcha.
I have sorry.
Go ahead, no.
Okay, Mr. Chair. Talking about another bill for residents is always a hard pill to swallow. Can you give any idea, I know this is a hard question, but of what that approximate annual cost could look like? I mean, are we talking hundreds, are we talking thousands? Any clue? I know that this isn't set in stone, but I feel like getting some sort of an idea out there might help residents understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know that, Bill, I know the town's committed to keeping that fee for single-family property owners, less than $100 annually.
Less than $100?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So, and then my last thought, I guess, is more just a thinking or a talking point, but developing another commission worries me a little bit, only because of our ability to staff and or fill our current vacancies. I don't know if there's any talks of, maybe transitioning the Stormwater Task Force into the commission, or, maybe making us a joint sewer stormwater commission, a public works type commission, something like that. But I don't know what would happen if we can't fund this type of commission. Not fund, fill. Sorry.
No, I understood.
Yeah, so I would start by reiterating that point about the Finance Committee. I did find the discussion very helpful, and I would encourage the residents to watch the February 5th meeting. It was insightful and very informative. So in light of that, I'll just keep my comments quite short, but primary concerns I have are with it seems to be a bypass of the protections of like Proposition 2.5. And I think there's an easy workaround to that if it's simply disclosed as such, instead of putting the money into the budget, because we have a lot of departments in town that are struggling with the very same issues, and they don't have these options available to them. So it essentially, to me, I'd like to hear more discussion as it relates to if you put the $300,000 to $400,000 in the budget, it would cause an override. But if we do a stormwater utility, we avoid doing an override. So I think it's just a matter of keeping that information clear to the voters. I also have a concern. I'd like to hear more as it relates to businesses. As you know, the Select Board has adopted, a single tax rate, and I would be concerned that would not be reflected in any kind of formula used to determine what the businesses were to pay. As with a split tax rate, we realize that any shift to the businesses, they pay an exorbitant amount, and the benefit to residents is minuscule, almost immeasurable. So that was just an area I'd like to hear more of what the impact would be on the businesses. That would be very important. And the process of, a third one is the process of adoption. I'd like to hear more about the thought process of splitting it up, splitting the budgeting up to a separate town meeting. I would lean towards presenting everything to the voters at the same time and making sure you have the same voters with the same information. And I do understand the Section 8 where it does make some points towards abatements and credits. But it is also, that's an area of concern where I've seen, several properties that, newer properties, just to use an example, that if they disturbed over an acre of land, they're required to go through a lengthy process, expensive process of designing a stormwater utility program and then plan, and then, added expense to actually install that stormwater treatment plan, the process. So it just seems a little frustrating for someone who may spend, and I'll make up a number of $10,000 in order to, get occupancy, and then turn around in 3 months get a stormwater utility fee. And I do understand the rebuttal to that is, well, everybody drives in town, and I do understand that, but that point would need some expansion. That doesn't really land for me, because that's essentially how we are handling everything now. Everybody pays taxes, and I don't have to go through the list, but whether it's gas tax and the rest of them. So I would just need some more information on that. And I guess one specific question I have is, you say there's like 200 communities that are subject to this. Like, why are we subjected to this?
So it's all based on, or right now it's currently based on urbanized area. So, so for some communities like Lunenburg too, maybe the entire town is not considered urbanized. So technically you're only required to implement the permit requirements in the urbanized portion of the town. But for communities, closer to Boston, obviously, they're 100% urbanized. So it's all based on census data, population densities. So the belief that you have greater population density, you're going to see more, detrimental contributions to water quality in those areas. And so.
And now, are we required to sweep the streets twice a year, whether they need it or not?
Yes.
Like, you just have to document that the streets were swept, even if they're not needed? Because it seems to me like you don't treat the streets with sand during the winter.
Correct.
So the streets strike me as being somewhat clean.
Wait, you do have to sweep them no matter what, even if we're not putting sand down?
You do, right? The permit doesn't differentiate, it just says twice.
Of course not.
And it's based on the phosphorus impairment. So all communities have to sweep all of the streets within the urbanized area once per year, but because you have the phosphorus impairment, like I said, it elevates requirements, and that's where the twice per year comes from.
So here in Lunenburg, what are we sweeping up?
You're always going to get some kind of dirt. There's always something there.
I think that if, Mr. Chairman, if I could, we've talked a little bit about impairments kind of broadly, and I don't know that folks might be necessarily aware of, we can have calcium impairments and phosphorus impairments, and what are the kind of typical elements. What are their sources, right? Like salt is rock salt, but obviously phosphorus is not. What are their sources? And does Lunenburg have any waterways that have an impairment?
Right, so there's an integrated list of water that's released by the state every couple years, and it'll say that some water bodies maybe haven't been assessed for designated uses, other ones have been assessed and have found to been impaired for certain constituents. So for instance, like the National River is impaired for phosphorus, which could be related to, fertilizer use,
Can I ask a question
leaf
before you
litter.
get going? Can you just explain what impaired means in this?
So it means that it's not meeting designated uses, meeting certain water quality standards based on the type of use. So if it's a drinking water source, it needs to meet higher water quality standards. But maybe if it's used for swimming or boating, fishing, it also needs to meet certain standards. And so they're saying that whatever the testing, the sampling that they do and the samples they're retrieving, that it's not meeting standards. So what they want you to do is they're saying that a TMDL is required. It's a total maximum daily load. So it's basically a document that outlines a process for bringing that water body back to meeting water quality standards. And so like when I mentioned the Charles River right now, there's a TMDL for the Charles. And so, based on all the modeling that they've done, they've determined that there's a certain amount of phosphorus that's being discharged into the Charles that needs to be, and a certain amount needs to be removed, and their modeling shows, okay, once we stop discharging a certain amount of phosphorus, we're going to be able to meet water quality standards. And so they've assigned each community based on their watershed area that's discharging to the Charles, a certain amount of phosphorus reduction, just to put it kind of lightly, but it's obviously a lot more complicated than that. But and so that's it's so expensive. And so the one thing to think about with the Nashua is right now there's not a TMDL document, so it's a little looser in terms of the requirements. We say, okay, it's impaired, and so one of the things, Bill, I know that you've been working on is there's a requirement, that was a requirement actually in permit year 6, was to first developing a phosphorus source identification report. So you're looking at different catchments that are tributary to outfalls, and you're looking at impervious surface area, land use, and you're trying to come up with, how much phosphorus could be contributed by that catchment area. And then you're prioritizing and saying, oh, this catchment is contributing more phosphorus than another. We want to prioritize that catchment for maybe a retrofit project. And so the town was required to implement what's called the demonstration project. Some type of stormwater treatment needed to be constructed within one of those priority catchment areas. And so I know, Bill, you have a design, but it's going to be, I think, constructed this.
It's constructed.
Oh, it is constructed at this point, so you're set. But I think it was it more recent
Yes.
at this point? Yeah,
Yep.
that it was done. So that was one thing. So like we're in permit year 8 right now. That was like permit year 6. So some things, getting them done, but maybe a little bit behind, when they were required. But I guess if a TMDL does come to fruition for the National River, then those requirements will be much more extensive. You'll be doing lots of projects every year. Look a little different.
So there's also no specific water quality problem that we're trying to fix, to improve upon here in Lunenburg?
Well, no.
I think you have other impairments.
Right.
Bill. Yeah.
Right. The Nashua River is impaired by phosphorus. Hickory's Hills is impaired by turbidity, and
I'm sorry, what?
turbidity.
Turbidity? What's
Suspended
that?
solids in
Okay.
the water. And Hickory Hills and Lake Shirley have invasive species growing there, and
Yes.
it's
We know.
So those are in excess of some standards that we're required to get below?
correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of bacteria impaired water bodies. Chloride is a big thing right now, too. We're seeing a lot more chloride impaired receiving waters that were added to this integrated list of waters in the last couple of years. So those communities are required to develop a chloride reduction plan looking at source control in the watershed for, around salt use.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I think based off of the information that you gave us, it's shown that the need is there and that we need the funding. I think the challenge is getting the funding. There's a lot of tight budgets. I know the school budget is going to be a tough budget, needing a lot of funding there too, the fire department as well. But I think how we go about and pay for it, I think, is going to be the challenge. And I think listening to the public, having that public engagement, getting those suggestions, listening, getting the feedback, and explaining why it makes more sense to have the fee. But I think, again, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow and a hard challenge to get those votes from the public. but I would support bringing it to the public, having those conversations, and leaving it up to the public to decide on how they want to fund this, or if they want to fund this.
Bill, can you touch on Chapter 90, what it can be used for that relates to stormwater and or culverts, and what it can't?
Right, so the big thing it can't do is fund the maintenance, the catch basin cleaning and the street sweeping. What it can do is drainage projects, replacing pipes, replacing catch basins, replacing culverts. It's more for construction projects instead of maintenance.
So one more question that I have. I don't think we can accommodate this within the operating budget without making substantial cuts. So then, someone mentioned override, I think the only way that we would be able to do that is with an override. And I think the numbers are pretty similar, right? An override would be for the average household about $100, and you're telling me that the utility fee would be around $100 too. So I don't really see a difference there. I guess I'm wondering, is there benefits to a certain funding mechanism? Would you say that there are benefits from funding it with a utility instead of an override, for example? I guess I'm just wondering, what are the pros and cons here? What's the benefit of a utility in this case?
Yeah, I guess I see the biggest benefit is just that the funds are protected, right? That they're not going to be, because I think, we can say in one year, oh, we're going to fund it through the operational budget, or, but then next year things could look different, and so then that could be cut. So it's just having that kind of consistent funding source kind of through the utility, which I think is really important. And I know I was saying this last week, but I have a number of clients that have utilities in place. Nobody regrets setting up a utility. I think for them it's been life-changing, for them in terms of their, being able to do their job and having the funding they need, and knowing, like I said, looking ahead that the funding that you're going to have, every year that's going to be available to you. But that said, some communities do choose to still go through the general fund. I think what happens though is I think long term they just realize it's not sustainable to keep along that path. Especially, like I said, we're looking at a new permit that we know is going to cost more to comply with, and so I just think it. And the other thing too is, I think even tonight we've talked about other stormwater needs. Culverts were mentioned. A lot of communities too, when they set up their utility, they might do some type of stormwater master plan initially to try to really get a handle on the condition of all of their assets. So one of the things I've seen us do in the early years with communities that have set up utilities is do a culvert inspection program. We have no idea the condition of our culverts, so we're going to inspect every culvert, and then we're going to use that information to develop a plan to target improvements to those culverts and build that into our budget into the future. And maybe that's not using the stormwater utility to fund the improvements. Maybe it's a special capital allocation for those, but at least you're getting a handle on what your needs are, and you can prioritize, accordingly from that. Because I think the MS4 is the driver, but the needs are so much even bigger than that, in long term.
Yeah, I'd like to mention something.
Yeah.
So I'm the engineer on the panel, so I think in terms of numbers. So I've been looking at the tiered structure, which has been proposed, and it's what we're probably going to adopt. So the utility isn't going to have a meter at everybody's house. Everybody pays a flat rate if they're residential. If they're commercial, the meter is going to be the impermeable space that's on their property. So just think Walmart in that whole plaza, and there's hundreds of thousands of square feet there. So much water comes down during the rain, and it goes into our stormwater system, and we direct it to the rivers and streams. So that would naturally be a place where they would have to pay a lot of money. There's a lot of properties in town that, according to my analysis, they're paying probably about the equivalent of 3 or 4 residential properties, equivalent, that's called ERUs, equivalent residential units, and they have hundreds of thousands of square feet of impermeable area. So what's going to happen is the commercial properties and the industrial are going to take, a bigger share of all the revenue, and the residences are going to get less of a burden. So it's a way of equitably balancing the cost associated with utility across the commercial and the residence. Make sense?
And we've done an analysis before too. We haven't done one late here, but we could do that, looking at what different properties would pay through the tax base versus what they would pay through utility. And again, like, it's just hoping for a more equitable distribution. So if, if there's a residential property that has, 1,000 square feet of impervious surface area, and they're paying a flat fee of $100, and then we've got a commercial property that has 3,000 square feet of impervious surface area, the hope is based on the tiered structure, they'd be paying like 3 times what that residential property owner would be paying annually. And so it feels more equitable in that sense.
Yeah, and I mean, the utility definitely seems to be more equitable than, an override to fund it through the operating budget. So, at least at initial glance, so.
I think the other thing the utility offers is the ability to do credit. So if you have some kind of mitigation system on your property, which a lot of new construction businesses do, they get the credit for having that.
Would there be credits for like rain gardens and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. They just want proof that it's being, inspected and maintained annually. So you provide that proof to the town, and then, the credit would be realized in that sense.
Yeah, there's overhead associated with that, because you have to make sure, okay, yes, you installed it. Is it still working today, 5 years later? That's.
So a lot of the commercial businesses, they have operation and maintenance plans. This is what Bill's telling me. He says just about every commercial property has one. And if they, in their operation and maintenance plan, they have a stormwater management process, and they show us that they execute that faithfully on an annual basis with receipts, then they'd be good candidates for an abatement.
The planning board, trying to find the right distance. The planning board has for several years now required operation and maintenance plans on all stormwater, residential and commercial and industrial, as well as we've also built in required reporting mechanisms that make the process of knowing if people are upkeeping their systems correctly makes it more efficient. That doesn't help with older construction that's been around longer, but we've made steps in that direction to help, not to help ease this process in particular. It was our own internal frustration of, okay, we're requiring that this be built, and then it goes to, so the builder makes it, it goes to a new owner, and why would the owner care and put effort into maintaining this thing that we have deemed mission critical for the town and for the environment? So those records should be more conveniently available, including as time goes on.
Do you have anybody to inspect? That, a homeowner might say, I'm maintaining it, but maybe they're not. Do you have anybody that goes and inspects?
We don't have a dedicated inspector for that purpose, because that would be a lot of inspection. I can tell you we put systems in place. I cannot tell you off the top of my head exactly how those systems operate, because that was a decision we made at a set of meetings 3 to 5 years ago. But I can tell you it's there, both with the required submissions, and there is some kind of recording and reporting. We don't have inspections in place.
Right, so.
Bill, can you turn your microphone on?
Yeah. Oh. So one of our budget items is a project manager who would be able to go out and do these inspections. That's why I brought the question up. Great.
Okay, so while we have the experts here, I'm going to open it up to the public. If anyone has any questions or comments or would like to participate in this discussion, you are more than welcome to. So I'll put the invitation out. Anyone? Mr. Roy, come on up.
Thanks. Greg Roy, 105 Chestnut Street. I'm a professional civil engineer and a professional business owner that owns commercial property in the interest of, in town, in the interest of full disclosure. And as I was sitting back, watching the presentation, great presentation, by the way, I'll preface my comments by saying this. No one ever drives on a brand new street that Bill has just resurfaced and reconstructed, or walked into a brand new building that an architect has designed and says, man, there must be some great pipes here. it's kind of the curse of being a civil engineer. But to echo what was said by the presenter, stormwater is really important. If it doesn't work, you notice it. So I wanted to make that comment. I think we probably need to do this. You know, I don't like paying more fees for things, but I think, you know, we probably need, at some point, the piper's going to come calling, right? We can ignore things for maybe a decade, but at some point, you're going to get an AC, administrative consent order from the federal government. And you'd rather have dealt with it before you get the consent order than being forced to do it. I mean, I have to walk clients through administrative consent orders with the Department of Environmental Protection because they just ignore mandates that are being given to them. So I don't think we should do that. I think that it's no secret that we have, over the past several years, and this year's no different, significant budgetary shortfalls. I think it would be far-fetched. I think you folks have said it. It's hard to think about adding $350,000 to the DPW line item in a year where we've had preliminary presentations on what the shortfall might look like this year. So, you know, I think that I commend the Stormwater Task Force for presenting that. I think it's going to be a hard sell. So we'll have to see how it goes at town meeting. I did have, I guess, one other comment and one question that I'll leave you with, and you can choose whether to answer it or not. But the comment is, I'm happy to hear that there's some credits being discussed, because I think Glenn's mentioned that particularly new commercial projects have to comply with the Massachusetts Stormwater Management Policy, which has 10 standards. And you mentioned $10,000. Multiply that by at least a factor of 10 when you're closer to what that would be. So it's a real cost. And then to be slapped with a stormwater utility fee on top of that. You know, if there's a way that you can incentivize businesses for following through with their O&M, documenting that to the town, and older businesses that may not have them, incentivize those folks for installing some BMPs, better management practices, and operating and maintaining them. I think that's a good plan. So that's my comment. And my question, though, is if you were to implement a stormwater utility through town meeting with a bylaw in place, I guess, how would, we implement fees for year one, and 5 years down the, who would be the person or group that would be reviewing fees and how much they need to assess? How would like, Unitil can raise my rates right now, and I have basically no say. Yeah. How would that work here? So if we come up with a new mandate, a new permit that says, listen, it's going to be 50% more costly in the next 5 years, what would be the process for raising rates, and would the public have any recourse in public discussion on that?
Well,
you don't have to answer that.
I'm just assuming that it would be the commission that would be created to oversee it, right?
It's in the bylaw, I believe.
Oh,
okay.
The proposed bylaw.
Right.
Yeah.
Section
Yeah, and I know
5
you didn't get too granular with
Yeah,
that.
Section 5C actually explicitly tells you that the select board, has authority to do it, and changes in rates shall not be made unless the proposed new rates are first published in a newspaper and general circulation.
Okay.
And I think that everybody has to vote.
I think that's definitely an important part
So
that
it's in the bylaw.
I would hope would be talked about at the public information session too, because I think a lot of people will have that same,
Yeah.
Right.
that same question.
Yeah, blank checks aren't a good idea.
No.
Yeah.
And when was that public information session again? I forgot.
So that's going to be March 5th.
March 5th,
I
okay.
believe 6:30 we were thinking? Yeah, I think 6:30.
Anyway, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Rhonda, come on up.
Rhonda Lucia, 181 Reservoir Road. I just feel that this is creating so much more bureaucracy, so many more tasks than necessary, and we don't exactly have a good track record of keeping positions filled or billing properly and keeping track of our books. It just sounds so convoluted. And like I said, I believe in funding mandates through the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. All right, I do see Mr. Burden has his hand raised on Zoom.
Yes, thank you. Just a comment, I'd be interested in how this would apply to a homeowners association that has 3 different roads that are maintained by a private, basically privately. And I'd asked Mr. Brenner if he updated when he changed our 30-year-old permit to house a shed for a wastewater sampling system that's not really needed, but changed that 30-year-old permit with questions on his mind, which was very interesting, but still went ahead and approved it. I'd ask him this question. Did he change it also to address the wastewater for this association? Because that would be a concern for me. If I've had to try to have our wastewater when I was a trustee pumped out, I don't think we've ever had it pumped out ever, but I was concerned about that 10, 15 years ago. I don't know if it's ever occurred, but I'd be very curious because I'm a very environmental concerned individual, and we have a lot of downflow downstream to other roads and so forth into environment from where we sit on our HOA. So I'd be curious about that if anybody wants to comment on that. Thank you.
So I believe the question was, how would this utility work with HOAs?
Yeah, no, and I feel like that is a question that obviously does come up, especially if if they have private ways that have drainage on them and the town is not maintaining or doing anything with that infrastructure. We do, get that question, I feel like, a lot. And I think, typically, again, it kind of goes back to that same thing. Well, they're still using the town's roadways to kind of get to their property. So they're still, feeling that they should be paying something. I do remember in one community in particular, there was some thought of, do they deserve some type of maybe a little bit of an abatement because of that? And so I don't know, I'd have to look further to see how that kind of has played out in other communities, because that would be interesting to see how other communities have approached it. But that's, otherwise, I think for most of them, they're paying the same, flat residential fee. Of course, the impervious surface area associated with their private roadway would not be included in any calculation, even if they had some communities do pursue a tiered single-family residential fee structure if they feel like there's more inequity in terms of the impervious surface distribution. It's best to keep it, if you assign the same flat fee, it does simplify that process. But that wouldn't come into play. I'm just saying that impervious surface.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from?
Mr. Brenner, I think, had some comments.
Oh, go.
The planning board.
Just to follow up a question.
So, no, hold on, Mr. Burden. Mr. Burden, hold on. Mr. Brenner, go ahead. Mr. Burden, I will mute you again. Let's be respectful of Mr. Brenner, please, and thank you. Go ahead.
The planning board's interaction with stormwater is pretty much exclusively through the stormwater management permit process. So the only time we deal with that for an HOA or anywhere else, is when the stormwater management permit process is triggered by something like the disturbance of over an acre of land in a development or a set of adjacent developments, like if a developer is building 5 lots together or something, even if they'll be sold separately. Those are the only times planning board typically looks at stormwater, is that circumstance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brenner. All right, Mr. Burden, did you have another question about the proposed stormwater utility bylaw?
Yeah, I just had a follow-up question. I guess that what we were talking about, or you're talking about an abatement or so forth, may apply in that situation for an HOA. Maybe if we had our own and could identify, remediations and so forth of our own, I guess that might be something that town could consider.
Okay.
It's something we've discussed in the Stormwater Task Force meetings. We haven't locked anything down. It's not a bad idea. Greg Roy showed up to one of our meetings, I think it was 2 months ago, and he said he used one of the properties on Leominster Shirley Road as an example, went in 2022, and they put a lot of effort into mitigating stormwater. So they'd be a perfect candidate for rebate, for an abatement. So yes, it makes sense to apply some sort of abatement, but we're not going to erase the fee because it doesn't make sense, because everybody in these developments still use the town roads to get to and from work and get to their houses. So that's something we're discussing, and there is going to be something in place.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Do you have something?
Excuse me. I didn't want to cut off other public comment if there's some more coming through. I have some more board-level thoughts, but if there's a good time, that's
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, great. What I really like, I mean, a stormwater utility is the way to go for the town. It really is. The writing's on the wall. This isn't new. This isn't untested. The reason we're looking at this is because it works, and we are far from the first in the country to be doing this. What I like about what I'm hearing in this discussion is the multi-layered thoughts about making sure it is an equitable charge, which wouldn't happen putting it through the budget. We should be charging those who create more stormwater runoff into our municipal infrastructure. Those who do it more should be charged more. That makes a lot of sense. In my own ideal world, I'd love to see it even more granular, but I don't think that's necessarily practical, and I wouldn't take my advice there because I can get in the weeds, and I know that. My worry about this going forward is not about the utility, which I think is critical, and I think there's a lot of good work here to making something that's very viable for the town. My concern is about timing, communication, and really I think it's timing and communication. To be more specific, you've got so many questions in this room about technicalities and nuances about how it's going to work. And in this room, I think we have by far the highest concentration of any room in Lunenburg right now of people who understand municipal taxation and budgeting and municipal stormwater infrastructure. At a public info session, people don't have that level of info. We need to I would encourage you to be very thoughtful about the presentation and about getting the public on board, because if we put it forward for a vote this spring, I wonder if that's too early. I hate it, by the way. Having been on the other side of this comment, I'm going to tell you I hate what I'm saying here. Because I've been there and people say, can't it just wait? And the answer is no, it can't. We need to be doing this and we need the money, and look at all the work we've done. So by the same token, I think we get one shot to really communicate this clearly to the public. I think if we go forward and put it to a vote and we haven't done everything to really ensure the public understands why this is so necessary, it's throwing away our one best opportunity. I'm not saying we shouldn't go forward, that you shouldn't go forward in the spring. I've got that worry. And I think the public engagement, I don't know your public engagement plan fully. I'm really hoping it is super on point and that you've got some real great consecutive building communications lined up so the public can be well informed and make a thoughtful and educated decision. I'm looking forward to this discussion in the public because we need to be having it. Water is so important for this town, and it's going to be an issue if we're not really on top of the management. So I'm really grateful for the work you've been doing. I like this structure. I hope we can communicate its value effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, any final questions, comments? Anyone from the public? Anyone? All right, Rhonda, come on up.
I just have one final comment. I'm still not seeing the pros. I'm not seeing it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rhonda. All right, Mr. Burden.
Yeah, just one last comment. I agree, water is very important to our environment, to us all. And I just thank Weston Sampson for the presentation they did and the information they provided and the information they may want to take a look at HOA, the Village at Flat Hill, that they did some work for us at one point. And I'd be interested, they might want to take a look, and if you're free, reach out to George Burden at 774-602-0673. I'd be happy to discuss that situation with you if you'd like. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burden.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really, really appreciate that information. And I want to say too that the town is we're working with the town on putting like an FAQ document together, trying to get more information. So all of these questions are great, and we'll make sure they're reflected in that document too.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so one more time, the public information session is going to be on March 5th. So if you still have questions or you would like to learn more, please attend that. Date and time, do we know where it's going to be, when it's going to be? At the library
Or
at
is it the
6:30.
Adult Activity Center? I forget which.
All right,
I
well,
know we have
we'll
to make
put
a
out further
flyer, put it
announcements, don't
on
worry.
the
We'll,
socials and everything.
we'll get that answered, but March 5th. All right, well, thank you very much for the work that you guys have been doing. I know you've been, how long have you guys been working on this? The Stormwater Task Force?
Me, 3 years.
A couple of years now, yeah. So a lot of work has gone into this, so thank you all so much.
The library, 7 to 8 o'clock, Thursday, March 5th.
Okay, so March 5th at the library from 7 to 8 p.m. All right. Thank you guys so much. Hope you all have a good night. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Do we want to do a picture?
Mr. Wallace thought we'd be done by 7:30 or so.
I know.
And here it is, 8:45.
I know. We should have, I mean, I saw that coming. All right, so we're just going to let folks clear the room, and then once it settles up, we'll move into our next thing, which is Mr. Wallace.
Mm-hmm. Where did Amanda go? Restroom?
We're just going to wait for Amanda too, so.
Everybody drives safely, the roads are probably slippery.
Is it
Yeah,
snowing?
it's probably snowing now, yeah. Ugh.
Going to Florida.
Is it still cold down there?
Yeah.
Florida, no, it's mid-70s.
Okay, so we're going to move on to a presentation request on DLTA, Direct Local Technical Assistance Funding Request by Mr. Wallace, our Director of Planning and Economic Development.
Good evening, Select Board.
Good evening.
Why don't we spend a couple hours talking about planning, shall we?
Good question. Why?
So the Regional Planning Commission, our Regional Planning Commission is Montechusett Regional Planning. And every year around this time, they offer what's known as the District Local Technical Assistance Grant Program.
Okay.
Now, this is money that the state passes through to all of the regional planning commissions, and it's money to be used for local planning projects. I've drafted up a couple projects that I'd like to get funded through this program, but in order to submit them to the Regional Planning Commission, I need the Select Board's blessing. The first one is a mapping project. Back in 2001, the state paid for the regional planning commissions to prepare build-out analysis maps for every town in Massachusetts. And one of those maps was a development constraints map that would tell you how much vacant land you have in your commercial and industrial districts versus how much developed land, how much land has development constraints. I want to update that map to see how things have changed over the last 25 years. So that's a relatively simple mapping project. The second project I want to fund through this grant program is updating your expired housing production plan. This is a plan that you file with the state. Your current plan is 5 years out of date. Essentially, it chronicles your housing inventory, your affordable housing, and what actions you plan to take to increase your affordable housing. And since you just completed a master plan with a housing section with recommendations aimed at addressing affordable housing, it's an opportune time to update our housing production plan. So that would involve a community survey on housing issues. We would have a presentation long around June after town meeting. And it would result in, by the end of the calendar year, an updated and state-approved housing production plan for Lunenburg. Questions?
Great, all right. Any questions from the board? Brian, go ahead.
I want to thank you for looking into these grants. I think it's a great opportunity. I did want to ask if there was anything tied to the grants, any funding that we would need to provide, or anything that you would see that's out of the ordinary that we.
No, we don't have to provide any money as an in-kind match. Our in-kind match would be my time overseeing the projects.
Thank you.
I did just want to ask about that because I saw in the letter that it noticed that. Is there some sort of requirement around that, or?
No, but if they look favorably if you do offer an in-kind contribution.
Okay.
I've offered up my hours towards that effort.
Great, okay, understood.
So, did I hear you correctly, your first project, the map, that is, last time that was done was 25 years ago? Did I hear you right?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Most towns have not updated their build-out maps from 2001. I want to get a handle on how much commercial and industrial land, vacant land, that's still developable versus what we had 25 years ago.
So 25 years is not out of the norm, the frequency to update that map, or is it?
I don't know of any, I know of only one other town that's taken the trouble to update that map.
Okay.
I want to do it so I can
Yeah,
get a handle
yeah.
on what I have to work with in terms of vacant commercial and industrial
sense.
land.
Mr. Chairman, one more thing. One of the benefits of having an updated housing production plan to the community for them to understand is that if you have a current housing production plan, and if you're working to create housing under that, a certain level of housing under that housing production plan, it puts you in one of what's called a safe harbor, potentially for Chapter 40B projects. It's one of the ways that a town can have safe harbor from a 40B project that otherwise they might not be so inclined to work with that developer on.
That is a major benefit of having a state-approved housing production plan.
Gotcha, all right. Well, do you have a question?
I do. I have two questions, which just completely left my brain as soon as I just said that. Hold on. I'm getting tired.
It's all right.
Nope, they're gone.
All right, well, they'll come back to you.
They are. They came back. Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Sorry, guys. Do you have any idea, like, how competitive this program is? Like, where?
They are able to fund most technical assistance grants, and we're getting in the first round, which improves our chances. They have 2 rounds, so we're getting in and on the first round. Well, I'm fairly certain we'll get at least one, if not both, funded.
I echo my fellow members' thanks for you finding these or, putting forth the effort. But my last question is, do you have any idea, or can you give us a rough estimate on what you're requesting cost-wise? I don't know if you already said it and I missed it or not.
They calculate the cost. They're the ones who do the work.
Yep.
So they calculate how much it's going to cost them, how much money they will allocate towards it. In terms of my time, our in-kind contribution, I think for both projects, it's about $4,000.
I more so was just looking for, how much money, like, the community would be the value that the community would be getting out of this. Just as a
Housing production plan between, what, 10 and 30,000?
I would say for a town of Lunenburg size, probably 15 to 25,000 for a soup to nuts housing production plan from scratch. And this mapping project probably about $5,000.
Okay. Yeah, just it's real value if we can get this
Yeah.
funding, so I appreciate that.
Are these things that, it's MRPC, right?
Yes.
Are they
Montezuma
gonna
Regional
like
Planning.
work on this on their own, or is there gonna be like collaboration? I'm just curious.
They will be the project drivers. I will be the project manager overseeing their work.
Well, that's a cool setup.
Well, it works fairly well.
Yeah. No, I fully support this. I mean, I personally have gone looking for a map that had like overlays of both like sewer and water, which I don't believe exists. If it does, I couldn't find it.
Yes,
so
well,
I-
that's one of the things that's going to be added
Right.
to the development constraints map is the water and sewer system, how many have access to it, so.
Yep, love it. So, no, I mean, I'm really grateful that you are with us now, and you seem to be hitting the ground running since you just started, like, what, like last week or something?
Last week.
So, great job. Thank you very much. I have a question for you while you're here. I think it's completely unrelated. Are you familiar with the Housing Choice Initiative designation? Is that something that you've heard of?
I have. It hasn't really been applicable to the small towns that I've worked for.
Yeah.
But I can investigate it further to see if it's something
I'm
that's,
curious if it's something that we could qualify for, because
Yeah.
there's something that I'm trying to identify funding for, and that seems to be the source for other municipalities that have similar programs that I've been exploring. But I couldn't find like a good answer about whether or not Lunenburg would qualify for it.
well, I'll check into it and see if there's some sort of population cutoff.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Yeah, if people are curious what the context is. At the Council on Aging, we've been discussing, well, it was proposed that the Select Board waive building fees for seniors that are doing any sort of home renovation that have to do with accessibility and mobility. And my perspective on it is if a senior is doing that work, then they can pay for the project. It's not the building fees that are really going to be a financial barrier to that work. So I would love to start a program that like can actually fund that type of work for senior citizens that maybe qualify. And there are some municipalities that do that, and I think I found two, and they both use this as their funding source.
You send me the names of those communities.
Okay.
And I'll talk with
I
the
will.
planning staff.
I will make a note of that, and I will send you an email, which I was trying to do, but I never did. So I'm glad I could talk to you about that tonight, so thank you very much.
Okay, to close the loop on this grant request?
Yep, so
Jen, if you could have either you or the Select Board Chair sign that letter, send it to me tomorrow as a PDF, so I can get it. Sure.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion here. I move to, well, actually, I'll ask if there is a motion to authorize me to sign this letter that we have drafted on the Select Board's behalf.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously. So thank you so much. I will sign this now.
Do you want to just take it right now?
Yeah, you can
Sure.
take it.
And Melissa will get you a certified vote tomorrow. Or tonight, or, yeah, show.
Here you go.
Thank you so much for being here and all your
Yeah,
work so
thank
far.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good night. Thank you for staying, by the way. Sorry we got our time estimates wrong. Okay, so we are going to move on. I'm going to go out of order again because we have someone else in the audience who's here for something under new business. So we have form in charge a cable advisory committee, and Mr. Archambault, I will invite you up. Basically, it's time for the town to renegotiate our cable contract with Comcast. And typically what we've done is form an advisory committee like this to advise the select board. Do you want to just speak to that? Because I think this is new for all of us up here.
It's new for me also.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Good to know.
It's my understanding that every 10 years, the contract comes up and we have to renegotiate the details.
Right.
We are actually already 1 year past. It's a 3-year process, and we will be beginning the second year in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So we would like to get started on it. What it does, it's my understanding that the task force meets with the public, gets their input, their concerns, what they would like to see. We look at the current situation of the cable system, and we make recommendations. I believe we meet with Comcast. There's a lawyer involved to help us with all of this. And then we come up with a new contract. It's probably going to be very similar to what we have now, since Comcast is the only provider for the town, and they pretty much will run everything. But it's a chance for us to talk to them, to ask questions, and maybe get some things clarified or made more appropriate. How's that?
So when I saw that the contract was up in, what was it, like 2028?
It is up March 1st, 2028.
Okay, so I wrongly assumed that we were doing this very early to get ahead
Oh,
of the
no,
process.
we're already
No,
a
we're
year
late.
behind.
So this is a
It's
three-year
usually
process?
I've been told it's a 3-year process.
Wow.
The process begins with us forming a committee. PAC has already made inquiries to, what is it, get a lawyer.
Council, yep.
Yeah, to
Oh.
put on.
Retainer.
Retainer, yes, thank you. Words are not my specialty.
No, it's okay.
And so we've begun that process. The goal is to get this going by June or so, so that we can start having some public meetings and getting surveys out, finding out what's going on. Take this next year from now until next year to get information so that we can hopefully meet with Comcast with specific recommendations.
Okay, gotcha. All right, any questions?
I think I want to add something.
Please
to
do.
this, because a lot of folks, so we're going to, I assume that you're going to stand up a committee. And a lot of folks who want to join a committee such as this are typically joining for some, if not all, of the following reasons. So I'm going to outline some reasons, and these are things that are not going to be covered during this process. This is, so what, and I'm saying this because in a prior community, we had a lot of folks volunteer for all of these reasons, and they said, oh, this process doesn't address these things? Rats.
Yeah, it happens.
So, the offerings of what channels you get, the price for cable, the price for your subscription, the speed of your internet, anything related to your internet. These are not covered by this license agreement. So if those are the things that are interesting you and driving you towards this committee, well, we appreciate that your interest. You will be perhaps disappointed, but perhaps enlightened by the end.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that.
Right. It's pretty much just Comcast is coming in, and when they come in, they provide certain services, like the PAC gets 3 channels. The town gets a discount for their internet, I'm assuming. There's no.
They give us no discount, but they give us a certain percentage of their fees.
Right.
So the percentage of the fees is negotiated. We can negotiate with them at the reissuance for some capital funds for PAC. So those are the types of things that we're negotiating.
So infrastructure stuff.
Okay, makes sense.
I guess that makes more sense. You know more about it, Jennifer, than I do, having been through it somewhat.
Somewhat.
Okay.
Do you have an idea of when days or times these?
It depends on who's on the committee. There is another PAC member who's interested to be on it. So we have 2 PAC members, myself, and let's see, look at this. I got to look it up. Brian. When? My assumption is it's going to be on Mondays.
Okay.
Because
Days or evenings?
evenings, most likely. There could be during the day, depending on the people involved. I say Mondays because that's when I'm available.
Are there requirements for the composition of this committee?
What was recommended to me, that there would be 1 person from the select board, 2 people from PAC, and then...
Like 2 at-large members?
Yeah,
or-
2 at-large members of the community, or we need an odd number.
Right.
The
Like
minimum
5.
would be
Yeah.
select board and 2 PAC members, but it would be nice to get 2 members of the community.
Okay.
And it would be for 2 years.
At this point, yes.
Yeah, at this point, 2 years, probably not every month. It would be one of those things where there'd be a few meetings this year just to get organized,
Right.
set up what to do. People in the committee would do various little jobs. When we come to the contract ending, then there might be a few more meetings. But I've been told by people that sometimes Comcast doesn't bother to show up and come for years. So it would be that kind of a thing.
Okay. Well, it's a much longer process than I thought.
Yeah,
That's,
I
honestly,
didn't realize it
shocking,
either.
But,
Yes.
okay.
So it'll be a few meetings. It's not going to be a monthly thing, but there may be a time when you get to the final stage that you have to meet a couple of extra times.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so fully support this. I'm assuming
Thank you.
everyone up here does, unless there's any objections that anyone has. Composition, do we want to discuss that? So 2 members of PAC, 1 select board member, and then 2 like at-large
From at large.
members?
So that would have to be advertised. and,
Yep.
You know, that whole thing.
I'm fine with that. Does anyone have any issues with that?
Nope.
No? Okay. And in terms of a charge, I mean, I think we pretty much have the language here.
I
So,
would just say I would
To-
leave it just for the renewal of the.
Yeah, just for the renewal of the.
Because all of
Okay.
these things are covered by that renewal process.
gotcha. So with the charge of negotiating, do we want to use that term, or?
Do we,
So the select board is the licensing authority here.
Right.
So ultimately,
They're bringing something back to us.
Yeah, so they are going to be going through the ascertainment process on your behalf.
that's why we're an advisory.
And then bringing that here. So
Okay.
it's, you could charge the committee to initiate the cable ascertainment process for the renewal of the Comcast cable contract, which expires on February 29th, 2028, and to do the diligence necessary to bring that license renewal to the select board.
Okay.
Sure.
So I will move.
I hope someone wrote that down.
To create a
recorded.
cable advisory committee with the membership of 2 members from PAC, 1 member from the select board, and 2 at-large members, with the charge of initiating the cable ascertainment process for the Comcast cable contract, and I missed the second part
That
of that.
expires on February 29th,
That
2028.
expires on February 29th, 2028.
And bringing that
And
back to
bringing-
the select board.
And bringing their feedback back to the select board.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so what will be the next step?
So the next
I'm with
steps,
this part.
So we'll have,
we'll have to advertise.
yeah, so.
Well, for the 2 people, we'll have to advertise.
Yeah, and you guys should hold a vote to select those representatives at a meeting of PAC.
Your 2. So your,
We already have, but
Oh,
so
okay.
you should, now that the committee's officially been formed, you should
we have to redo it.
formally vote who
Okay.
your folks will be. The select board will put 1 member on through a vote. We'll advertise out to the public with, a couple weeks to get applications
Right.
back in. Those applications will be considered by the select board at a future meeting, and then you
Move
can
on.
off to the races.
Yep,
Okay. Well,
fantastic.
sounds like a plan. Thank you very much.
Good.
I look forward to hearing.
Mr. Chair, I was just going to say, I am very appreciative of all of everyone kind of stepping up and taking over my committees. I am happy to take this one on.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I was going to ask that, so thank you for stepping up.
Yeah.
We could just vote on our representative now, tonight, under
I've
this.
been very appreciative to everyone that they've been allowing me the grace I've needed. So.
Yeah, no problem at all. So I will move to designate Amanda Moore as the Select Board's representative to the Cable,
Advisory.
what did we just name? Advisory Committee.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. So thank you,
Excellent.
Amanda.
All right.
Bring my
so-
trumpet.
Yeah. All right, so you'll take care of advertising. At our next PAC meeting on March 2nd, we'll get our designees, and then
Off to the races.
we'll figure out a time, and we'll do our thing.
All right, perfect.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Archambault.
Thank you
Good to
very
see
much.
you.
Have a great evening.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Okay, so we're going to go back up. There's one appointment that we did not do, so we have This third one, ratification of the town manager's appointment of Mark Ricciardi to the position of Council on Aging van driver. I will move to ratify the town manager's appointment of Mark Ricciardi to the position of Council on Aging van driver.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. And on to the town manager report.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my first item is relative to the meetings on the TC Passios building. So at the last meeting of the Select Board, I shared a memo from the Finance Director regarding the TCP building and its associated operating costs. Based on that memo, I began to set up meetings with the key users of the building. We have had initial meetings since then with the Lunenburg Community Food Pantry, PAC, and the town clerk. So those are the main user groups that use the building that might have a little bit more difficulty than others. So the food pantry specifically is interested in exploring the possibility of leasing town-owned land that might be available for them to build a building upon. So that's what they're going to be exploring initially. A small building, a small structure they think that they can fundraise around the cost to build the building, but the land would be an issue.
Are they a nonprofit group? Are they?
They are. They are their own.
They wouldn't be subjected to public procurement if.
So it depends on which land and how
it was organized with an MOU or whatever.
Exactly. But that's the starting point that they're leading with. That's certainly going to be the most difficult user group to relocate from the building. But the conversation was very productive. This is something that they've been anticipating. When is the day coming? And so here we are starting to have those conversations. As part of that, I got a full tour of the food pantry. I've been in the food pantry before, but I haven't walked up and down every aisle and looked in all the fridges and freezers, and the operation there is unbelievable. The amount of fresh and frozen meats and vegetables that come in is unbelievable. So the second most difficult group to potentially look at relocating is PAC. And so initial conversations there, they're going to be meeting with some neighboring communities and exploring potentially the use of their space and what that may look like.
Mhm.
So all in all, positive conversations happening. The town clerk is likely just going to have to move her elections to the school, and we're going to have to find some storage space for her, as well as maybe a trailer to store some of this stuff in and to move it from building to building. Okay, the fourth shift fire department proposal, as stated, next Monday, February 23rd at 5 p.m. at the Adult Activity Center. Budget preparation, so FY27 budget. We're working on it. It's preliminarily scheduled to have the town manager's preliminary budget at the, I said preliminary too many times, I'm sorry. This Thursday, before the Finance Committee. It's likely that that's going to need to be continued. I don't see how that's going to happen, but we're still working our way at it. So department heads have been meeting with myself and Karen Barrett on various elements of their FY27 budgets. There are a lot of moving parts here. We've been asked to look at a lot of things, even just like the TCP move, restructuring, there's a lot of moving parts here. FY25 close, I have some good news. So we have received our extension through the end of February from the Division of Local Services. Karen Brochu, Karen Barrett, and Mylene are all actively working together now, and they are making some pretty solid progress over the past week, and I'm optimistic. If we have to request another extension, I will, but I'm optimistic at this point. Plowing incident, as the board is aware, on Saturday, February 7th, we had an incident with one of the large six-wheel vehicles. The driver was plowing close to the edge of the roadway and the wheel went off the road. The driver did stop the vehicle, but ultimately the shoulder there and the wheel being off caused the vehicle to topple on its side. The truck, which was a 2017, thankfully not one of the new ones, did sustain heavy damage, and has been submitted to Maya, and I'm sure they'll send an adjuster out. Thankfully, the driver, who was an employee, although was transported to Leominster Hospital, did not sustain any significant injuries, which is the biggest part of that. So, ClearGov software cancellation. So I had reported previously that I had discussed the potential of discontinuing ClearGov or alternatively pausing ClearGov. This is a software tool that is a great tool, but unfortunately has not really been utilized since the departure of Town Manager Lemieux. And we are currently, the annual subscription is roughly $21,000. So based on operational capacity and budgetary challenges, we've decided to cancel that service, but hopefully in the future, if we're able to, we can bring it back online. I want to publicly thank Lydia Paolilli, who stepped in. Lydia's our assistant library director. She stepped in for our library director, Muir, as he was having a child, and she did an excellent job covering during his leave. It was really seamless, and so we're so grateful for her stepping up and filling that important role. And now she is actually going to be taking some time of her own to have her first child.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Congratulations to them both.
Yeah.
If folks did not have an opportunity to attend the school committee forum on the 2025 budget surplus that was held last week, that video is now up on YouTube. I neglected to add here that I did apply for a grant last week when the Lincolns were speaking. I was thinking of it. There was a little bit north of $20,000 capital item that is unlikely to get funded in this capital plan for upgrading the infrastructure at the Adult Activity Center relative to network access and getting them on the same network, as well as putting some access points outside so that folks can use the pavilion fully. The Community Compact IT grant is open, and so I applied for that, and maybe we'll get funded through that way. So, current recruitments, so staff librarian, 30 hours per week. Payroll and benefits position, we have an offer accepted, and we are conducting our diligence on that candidate. Outreach coordinator, interviews have been conducted, and we are conducting our diligence on that position. Recreation director, interviews are active and ongoing. New position, special assistant to the assessors, temporary, that's the contracted position that was created at town meeting, that's now been advertised. And dietary aid, 9 hours per week, and I'm not going to read any of the board committees, commissions, because they have not changed.
Right. All right. Any questions?
Yeah, the TCP discussions, did timelines come up at all? Did you discuss?
Yeah, so the goal here is that as much wind down as possible prior to the beginning of the fiscal year, as we can. That is certainly going to be a lot easier for some groups. What we did discuss, and it's early, right? So we don't know what people are going to be able to find for space and how all of this will work out, but really before the heating season. That's, if occupancy bleeds past July 1st, we can work with that. We're really concerned around going into another heating season.
And the lifespan of the roof.
Well, and that's the thing. So right now, if anything happens in that building, if the boiler goes, if there's a massive leak, if there's any issues with that building, we're shutting the doors that day. I'm just realizing as we're talking about buildings, I totally forgot to put in something very important in my town manager's report, which was, which I talked to the chief about earlier. So the Marlborough Hospital, you might have seen on the news, had a code black yesterday. They had to evacuate the hospital due to some issues with flooding and a boiler there. And so all the way up in Lunenburg, we sent a crew of 3 down. They were there from 9 p.m., I think, until about 4 a.m. Last night. Was it last night? Night before. Oh, my nights are colliding. Transporting patients out of Marlborough Hospital. And that was a huge effort. To nearby hospitals. Thankfully, we didn't have to go all the way down to Whitensville, but we transported quite a lot of folks to Worcester from Marlborough.
Wow.
So. was thinking about building closures, and that
Yeah.
Marlboro Hospital just struck me.
All right, want to move into the second part of your town manager report, FY26 goals and objectives
Sure,
update?
and then I closed it as soon as I went there, so give me just a second. Okay, so I just wanted to update where we are on a variety of goals. The first goal I know is on the, as I'm pulling this up, on the, I might have to read over your shoulder here.
That's fine. Do you want me to just pull it up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Let's see. Thank you. Yes, that, perfect. Thanks. Amanda had it up.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so goal number 1, budgeting and finance. Objective 1, develop a FY27 budget and multi-year financial forecast. Under this, there were a bunch of bullets. Shift initial budget. Do you want me to read all these, Tim?
No.
Yeah, okay. So we are in various stages of progress of this process, with some areas complete, some areas ongoing, some areas we are unlikely to achieve, such as development of a 5-year staffing plan. We're probably not going to meet certain elements of that, but we're moving quite along. Objective number 2 was to explore town school operation and budgetary collaboration and efficiencies, consolidation of departments, joint purchasing, consolidation of vendors. Some of this has been discussed in the tri-board process, but nothing is really bearing fruit right now in this. Although I will say there's a lot of work and collaboration that's happening across town and school that's, I think it's going to naturally end up there. Objective 3 was to begin to use the ClearGov software in the FY27 operating and capital budgeting process. The subscription's been canceled, so. And then the financial policies, due to all the transitions in the finance director role, we're tabling this until we get through the annual town meeting, and then we'll pick it back up. Okay, employee experience, work with town staff, labor council, and other stakeholders to review the SAP, to bring modifications to town meeting. This was a multi-year goal, and during the initial year of the goal, town manager to bring initial modifications to special town meeting. We have brought those modifications to town meeting. They have passed. There is some implementation work that still needs to happen on the back end. For some of them, like adopt a merit policy, internal operations need to be updated for the vacation accrual changes, and we need to stand up the sick leave bank committee, but the vast majority of this has been completed. Working on identifying weaknesses and in our orientation and onboarding practices. We really got this going in the summer and early fall, and then has been completely tabled. Hopefully we can pick that back up. Items to be carried over from the Select Board's 25 goals, the implementation of the climate survey, employee recognition program. These are not started, but they're intended for late spring, early summer. So I believe that we should be on track with those. Municipal property, so TCP, work on completing the decommissioning, that part's done. And then work on post-decommissioning, what's the plan for the building? You just heard what that is there. So I do think that we're going to continue to actively work on that. 925 Mass Ave, we have now a planner in place, and we are standing up the working group. I believe we'll be meeting in the next week or so with that working group to get that RFP going, and so that's going along. And the tax title review of properties, that's unlikely to commence prior to the end of this fiscal year.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, so we will, at a future meeting, have something on the agenda just to review both the select board and the town manager's goals and make any modifications that we want to. I'm less concerned about our goals than I am about the town manager's, because she has her evaluation coming up relatively soon. So we do have a little more time than she does, and we're not getting graded on our job, at least directly, for our completion of our goals. So thank you for that update. I think it gives us the context we need to have that conversation in a future meeting.
I'd just like to say thank you to the town manager for all the work that you're doing, and I do really appreciate that update, but I know that things are being tabled where they have to be, because you are
We'll get
your
there.
head above water.
We'll get
I
there.
appreciate all of your work and
Yeah.
effort.
Well, every year priorities shift, and I think we all knew this was going to happen. The transition in the finance department, none of us really
No,
saw coming.
that we
So
did
that
not.
was, another wrench in the system. But, we all knew this was going to be a very challenging budget year and that was going to take up almost all of your time and effort. So we just didn't know how bad it was going to be.
We didn't know.
Nope. So thank you very much. Okay, moving on to old business up first. Discuss warrant articles to be sponsored by the Select Board. For the members who weren't here last week, we didn't add anything new, so it's just the ones that we're tracking. I have a meeting with Mr. Franco on Friday, so we're going to work through some of the concerns that came out of a special town meeting so that the Council on Aging can feel a little better about this and, the impact that it will have on seniors is mitigated. So we're going to have that meeting on Friday, and then we'll bring something back at our next meeting. The warrant articles for the 300th were added, so there's an allocation, a multi-year allocation this time, of $15,000, and then also a second article for the creation of that gift fund account. I think that's it. So we're starting to get some articles from other boards, so I'm going to change this agenda item so that we can start reviewing them. But are there any other articles that we want to add to the warrant? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
hearing nothing from members, I
Yeah.
do want to bring up.
Oh, yeah, I know, I was going to do that.
Oh,
Go ahead. No, you can do
okay.
it, you can do it.
My least popular, or maybe, remains to be seen. The mosquito control program.
Yes.
So I'd be remiss to not bring this up, at least for consideration.
Right.
I received, it's in the packet, the most recent assessment for the town of Lunenburg, and it's quite high. So the assessment is $91,562. We know that from the cherry sheet, but what's interesting about this is looking at the other communities, looking at the size of those other communities and what their operating budgets are and what portion this is. So right under Lunenburg is the city of Marlborough. So we're paying $91,562. The city of Marlborough, $100,560.
Is it based on residents that use it?
No, it's based off the land. It's based on actual land, so land area. So we have been I've done some research on the mosquito control program. From what I can see, I haven't gone back to find the actual vote of town meeting. It looks like we've been in this at least since 1981 or 1982, roughly. We've been in the program for a long time. It requires a town meeting vote to join the program. It requires a town meeting vote to leave the program. And so that's why I am bringing it up tonight to see if there is interest or appetite in exploring this, at least for consideration for the town meeting warrant.
So I have two questions. One, what happens if we are not part of the program and, like, we had that goat that tested positive and they came and did extra spraying? What happens if we have a positive test from someone or an animal, whatever?
Yeah, so you wouldn't have that
We would
spraying.
pay, if we wanted to have them come and spray, we would have to pay? Is that?
Yeah, you wouldn't get the spraying, and you wouldn't get the monitoring, and you wouldn't get that staff support from Central Mass Mosquito Control Project.
And part of the support is that they also conduct the testing too, right? So that's another thing that they do.
Yep, they conduct, so they don't just do spraying, they
Right.
conduct testing and monitoring and
They
sampling.
do sampling and
Yep,
testing of mosquitoes.
Is the Board of Health involved in this?
they will.
They will be.
They will be,
Yeah.
yes.
They should
If, I was coming here first, but
Yeah.
if,
So I don't want to be like, no, but my initial reaction is, I like this program. I know we have serious funding issues, so I don't want to be like, I don't want to consider it, but I do have concerns with eliminating it. That's just my initial first thoughts about it. I'd like to look into it a little bit more. I know why you're bringing it forward, of course. You know, we got to talk about all the options, but I am, mosquito-borne illness is a huge concern for me living where we do and all the woods. And, I use this program I have for years. It's been a great program, and my property becomes almost unusable if I don't get it sprayed. Living on right next to the I have conservation land, I have wetland on my property.
Yep.
never mind the health concerns, so I am concerned about it.
I mean, I like the program, I don't like the price, and I could not find the formula.
I'll
So,
share it with you.
because they mentioned this assessment formula, let's see, based on equalized valuation, 5 of the district's formulas are also use land area as a component. There was no link, there's nothing, I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah, so I asked them for, how did they, when I said this.
Yeah, like you look at the town, it makes no sense to me, just looking at the towns and the cost.
It would be good to get additional data too on any other towns that do not participate, and if they do any spraying. If there's towns that don't spray at all, that would be good information to know.
So if you don't, I will reach out to those towns, but if you're not on this list, you're likely not doing anything for mosquito control. And so, bordering towns, you'll see Townsend is not on this list.
Some are, some aren't.
Some are, some aren't.
Yeah,
It's a little bit of a mixed bag.
Right.
You know, I still see a lot of Mosquito Joe signs around town. A lot.
Mosquito Joe?
What's that?
Well, people spray
The
their own
service.
houses.
Like they have like a yard
okay.
sign. I think it's like
Gotcha.
Mosquito Joe or whatever. There's some company that comes and sprays. So even though the town is part of this program, people are still having their property. You can
There's
you
still
can sign up.
mosquitoes.
Yeah, you
There's
can
still
you
a
can
lot of
sign up
mosquitoes, yeah.
to have to have your own property sprayed, just like you can sign up for
They also come out and do testing of
fertilizer program.
wetlands, there's other things that they do
Mm-hmm.
as well versus just spraying. So, if you have mosquito breeding grounds in the area, they'll come in and take care of those, which is
Yeah, I mean, I think,
First-hand experience.
yeah, I think if there's a year for us to consider this, it's this year with the budget issues we have. I mean, it's so expensive. It's $100,000 that we definitely should make a decision whether or not we want to bring this forward to town meeting. Honestly, I don't know where I'm at yet. I'm going to have to think about it a little more. No, I don't like the price tag, but first of all, I like the program. I think we benefit from it. And second of all, generally speaking, I am the type of person who wants to preserve government services. That's just who I am. Those are my values. So, if there's a way for us to keep doing this and make it through this budget season, that's the path I'm going to take. But I don't know. I might be willing to put this on the warrant and have the town decide. At the end of the day, it's not our decision, it's town meeting's decision. So I'm not sure where I'm at yet. So I'm going to think about it a little more. I think we all might need to do that. But just FYI, we need to decide if we're going to move forward with this.
Would the board like me to formally engage with the Board of Health at this point, or would you want to wait for some more fact-finding and discussions at this body?
I would definitely like to explore it, and, maybe even have mosquito control come in and do a presentation, because it's always kind of given me concern when they say it's nothing to be worried about, but while they're spraying, close your windows. So, I mean, there are some concerns, and I'd also be curious if we could mine the data of how many people do opt out. Like, you can call and have them not spray. And I've seen signs in one property in particular about being an organic farm. So I think there is a lot to explore and kind of get the feedback from the community. But, in years past, I would have thought the same way. Like, I would never have entertained not having it. But again, I think it certainly would serve us well to reinvestigate that.
It'd be interesting to know the opt-out numbers as well as the people that call for service on their individual properties versus just the townwide sprayings. If we're able to get that for them. I don't know if we are or not. But.
I'm going to ask all of these questions. These are really great
Yeah.
data points for you to have to bring back.
I'd love to hear a presentation from mosquito control, as well as maybe some group that advocates against it,
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's very reasonable.
I personally think I'm okay with you engaging the Board of Health at this point
Yeah,
in this
for sure.
discussion. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be a short discussion. They could make it very clear that it's a.
Oh, I think they're not going to be
Yeah, well,
keen on this.
that's my assumption too.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll be able to provide really good reasons for, why they might ultimately take that position. So, okay. Any other warrant articles? All right. What's the deadline again? March 18th?
16th.
16th. Okay, sorry I can't commit that to memory for some reason. So if you're at home and you're listening and you're on a board or a committee or commission and you have some warrant articles that you would like to submit, make sure you do so by March 16th.
Preferably
And that's
sooner.
just the subject, not the final.
Yeah, well.
It's always
it's tricky.
requested that you
Right.
get your language in as close to final form as you can.
Yeah.
Right.
But in the case that somebody is not able to, the charter requires that it's the subject matter for insertion that's submitted by March 16th, not the final language. So, you know, if there could be a committee that really doesn't have the acumen to put together something, and they're putting together a concept, and that's what we get on March 16th, which would then need to be drafted.
I'll just tell you right now, the bylaw review committee is probably going to submit a placeholder, and that might continue to be worked on, so.
Well, I'm thinking the stormwater bylaw, because that will have to be reviewed by
Right.
town council.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Same.
final language.
Yeah.
Same reason, so, yep, for sure.
And
Okay,
if there are things that we haven't heard about yet, the sooner we hear about them, I would say.
the better, for sure, yep.
Yeah, like a month from now is when it closes, right?
Mhm. Okay, discussion and approval of appointment policy. There is a clean version of this in the drive. Any discussion? Anything
Yeah, I
outstanding that
think
anyone wants to?
some things got mixed up in the clean version.
Okay,
Let's see, it is the second page, which is number 34, actually.
yep,
Well, first, it says, the bottom of the third paragraph, the select board shall provide in writing to the applicants the reason the interviews were requested. Are we really going to provide that reason in writing if we want someone to come?
hold
for
on,
an
can you,
interview?
where's this again? I can't find
Right,
it.
the last sentence before the bold section 4, which is,
Okay.
I think, a mistake. The select board
Select
shall
board.
provide in writing to the applicants the reason the interviews were requested.
Looks like that was an incomplete sentence.
So that's going back to, if we want to, we have to request by May 25th any applicants that we want to interview. And the ones we want to interview, we're going to submit that reason in writing?
Yeah,
we need that?
we did discuss that.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of the notification in writing that we'd like you to come in.
Right. So
That's
I-
different than the reason.
Yeah, so I remember the discussions, and I also remember the reason why we ended up adding this. Basically, we want to avoid the situation where we request people to come in for an interview, and there's some sort of reason behind that people want to interview applicants on a specific committee. Maybe they have opinions about the job that they're doing or whatever. I strongly feel still that should be articulated, right? Whether it's in a public meeting here, whether we formally write it and send it to them, which, you know, I think we landed on in a previous discussion. We had a case, I think it was 2 years ago, where a select board member wanted to bring in everyone who had applied to a particular committee, and I'm assuming that select board member had a reason. It wasn't articulated in the meeting, and then the following select board meeting, they were all here. They all sat in the audience, and then when we got to that part in the reappointments, no one had anything to say to them. So we wasted their time, and we just want to avoid something like that. So in the case where we decide that we want to bring everyone in, there's a reason for it, and I think this is a statement that reason needs to be stated, and it should be communicated with them.
And so stating it in the public meeting when we decide to interview someone isn't sufficient?
I think
So-
the problem was the communication back to the boards and committees, right?
Yes.
Just us saying like, because they're not all going to watch our meeting.
Mhm.
It was basically just.
They're being requested to come in for an interview. I would
Right.
watch.
And I will also
But they might
say.
not know, like if they're not paying attention to our meetings.
No, but if we request them, we have to notify that we're requesting they come in for an interview.
Yeah.
Right, so that's essentially what this says.
No, this is saying the reason we're having them come in for the interview.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And I think the reason we could just discuss at a meeting is sufficient.
I think the reason doesn't have to be detailed. I think it's more of, we'd like a little bit more information about
Blank.
your background.
Yeah,
Blank.
yeah.
Like,
I will also say, I was going to add this, Renee. We did also change the language in here from like one member of the select board
To a
can request
majority.
that to a majority.
Yeah.
If we're getting to a majority, we're obviously going to have more robust discussions about that. So I think that in and of itself can help that reason for wanting to bring them in be articulated in a public meeting than it was before. So to your point, do we really need that sentence to say that it's going to be in writing? Maybe not. especially now that we're requiring, you know, an actual vote of a majority of the select board, so.
Yes, that's one sentence I would take out.
Okay.
I don't know how others feel.
Yeah. I don't know if I feel strongly about it either way. I think we kind of accomplished it by moving to a majority vote, so,
Yeah, I'm fine with it either way.
okay.
It's not saying that we can't do it,
Yeah.
Right, right. No.
but at least it
Right,
leaves it
we
so
don't
that we
have to.
Mm-hmm. Brian, Glenn?
I'm fine.
I'm fine removing it.
Yeah, removing it. Okay, so we can just remove that sentence, that's fine. Anything else you noticed?
Yeah, the other thing
Renee?
is the bold
Yeah.
section 4 beneath it.
We'll fix that.
Yeah, that,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, we got that.
And then-
We'll clean up the space, the.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's not a new section.
No, I know, but
Okay.
Yeah.
there's some spacing.
Oh, there's
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of
Yeah.
double periods and
Yeah,
no spaces.
We'll fix all that.
formatting
stuff.
and
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the reappointment section,
yeah,
the second paragraph that starts with "as part." The second line, sentence begins, "Shortly thereafter, the town manager's office will forward the reappointment application to the other members of the multi-member body." So this is someone, an incumbent whose term will expire, completes the reappointment application by May 15th, right? And then submits it to the town manager's office, who forwards it to the other members of that body. It will forward, I think it should be will forward the completed application.
okay.
Because it took me, I had to read it,
Yeah.
I mean.
Where are you?
No, I agree,
the
Renee.
second paragraph.
I just had to read it a second time to understand that, so.
Yeah.
For the completed,
We'll
yeah,
forward the reappointment application, but it's really, we'll forward the completed reappointment application. So the first step is someone who's seeking, an incumbent who's seeking renewal of their position, completes the reappointment application, and then the town manager forwards that completed application.
okay.
Like, just I had to,
Just that word completed.
I was reading this while having dinner, and it took me a little bit to connect those two. So, yeah.
No
that's it.
comment.
I couldn't connect my words a few moments ago, so.
I know, it's okay.
Neither could I blinked out halfway through the meeting.
It would have taken me, I wouldn't have remembered till the next day. You recovered quick. That was all that I
That was it?
saw, yeah.
Okay, so we'll give this another pass, we'll make sure it's cleaned up a little bit, and then we can pick it up again. I did also want to ask, I didn't put it on the agenda, because I know, Amanda, that you were going to do like a first pass at it, the special
Yeah.
event policy?
I've started, but
Okay,
I
cool.
haven't gotten,
Yeah, I'm not on, we have until May to do this, so I'm not
Yeah.
in a rush. I just didn't know if there was like any sort of goal that you have for like when we could like put it back on the agenda, but if you just want to tell me when you're ready, that works.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll get back to you.
okay, cool.
Any folks have comments on?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Kara, for putting it together. No, I think it's wonderful,
I
and
had a
I'm really
question about
excited that
that,
we're doing this. Go ahead,
We didn't say
Renee.
what it was.
I just had a question, the form?
Oh,
The form.
it is, yeah.
And I don't know, is it possible that the check boxes, can you put, instead of checking, can you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
So in this,
In the actual check, yes.
No.
I don't know.
No.
Because then you could eliminate that other section
Oh.
where you enter your
No.
first choice.
No,
Yeah,
not,
shoot, that's what I was afraid
yeah.
of.
No. At least, you couldn't,
I don't,
6 months ago. Whether you still can or not, I don't.
yeah, I don't think
We can look
Civics
into it.
Plus, or we could.
Yeah.
Because if you can, that takes care of that other.
That second
you can-
section.
I
Yeah.
assume that's why Kara put that section in.
That's what I thought too, but
Yeah, we can
But-
find out.
I do really
that could be a
appreciate her putting that
limitation
together, because
of
that's,
Microsoft Forms, yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I don't think they have ranked options. It's not Microsoft Forms, that's Civic Plus.
That's
This is
Civic.
Civic,
Oh.
this is our
Microsoft
website.
Forms, you
Yep.
can,
Ah,
Microsoft Forms, you can do ranked.
okay.
Yeah, this is right embedded in the,
Okay,
in the site.
okay.
All right, anything else we want to discuss on that tonight? Okay, thank you. And last in old business, request for legislative earmarks in FY '27 state budget. So I hope members have had a chance to think about the requests that we want to add and send off to the state delegation. We should send them at some point a prioritized list. I have 3 of them, but first I want to open it up to the board and see if anyone wants to share any requests that they would like to make.
I haven't, I just heard the ones from the school.
I can go.
I don't know.
Do
I'm just.
you want me to go? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts.
So the first, I know the fire department is trying to purchase equipment. They used to use like grant funding, I believe. It's not available anymore. So I think that's the first one, and I think that'll align pretty well with what, from what I'm hearing, the state delegation is looking for priority areas and also our needs right now. The second, which came out of a discussion today, actually, I want to request state funding for a ramp at the Lunenburg Adult Activity Center that would go in on the side of the building. So for context, Deb Goodsell is trying to create a telehealth center, which, by the way, won't just be for seniors. It'll be for anyone in town. So if folks at home don't have a computer or they don't know how to use it, so that there's a place in town where they can go to have their telehealth appointment with providers. In order to make it more accessible, she wants to install a ramp on that side entrance because that's where it'll be. And there's also the benefit of like social isolation. So if someone's ill, then they'll be able to just go in and be right in that telehealth area, and they won't have to go in through the main building and, you know, potentially interact with more people. And it also aligns really well with what I'm told that they're looking for right now from the state. So they are really trying to support seniors and Council on Aging, and that's something explicitly that they're looking for. And then the third is a capital project that did not make the cut this year, which is for just the design work, I'm pretty sure, for playground over at the primary school. So those are the three things that I came up with.
We don't know yet if that'll make the cut, right? Until we have the free cash.
Capital Planning Committee is meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
We won't know, until we have free cash, we won't know how many projects we can do.
Right.
I can say that there is a project that's on the list that's right below where I cut off, which is the boilers for the public safety.
Mhm.
That's a high priority
That's a-
project for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to probably go there before I went to the design for the playground.
Okay.
That's a public safety,
Does it make
health
sense
and
to
safety
submit
issue.
that for an earmark?
It's probably too
It's
expensive.
probably too much, yeah. And the
It's too
design
high.
work, what was it, 30 or 50?
30, it's 30, so it's a nice, the design
Oh.
work's a nice price for an earmark.
Yeah.
And does, yeah.
I said last week, too, I think it's good to have different price points for the suggestions for the legislators, because again, they're going to have a number that just pops up, and then they got to try to fill it with.
Yeah.
I mean, we can certainly put in the boilers, I just think.
And
it's-
I thought about it too, and not just that one, but other capital projects. But I also I think these are like very high likelihood of getting funded, right? Small dollar amounts, they're going to really important, high priority areas of town government that the legislature wants to fund. That's sort of how I pick these. But I definitely could come up with more that I would add to this list, and I guess it's up to us. Do we want to add more that are really important, but we know maybe aren't going to get funded, and we just want to add them anyway? I'm open to that. I picked three that I think were solid choices that almost certainly will get selected. So it's just how I went about picking the ones that I was going to bring.
No, I like the choices. I think schools, fire, and seniors are always good points. I think boiler would be a tough sell for legislators.
As necessary as it is.
But you could always put it on the list.
Can we be more specific with the request for fire? Because I feel like if it's a specific item that shows, instead of just, because I saw one of these
Okay.
historical ones, you know, it's for whatever fire department. Okay,
Right.
What for the fire?
Yeah, I'll talk to the chief about it's to supplement that, like, the grant funding that got cut off for the hoses and.
So if we say, you know,
So,
for
right.
hoses, you know,
Right.
specific equipment, I
Exactly.
think
Yeah.
that will.
I didn't
better.
say it because I'm ignorant and I truly don't know the full list of things, and I probably should have gotten that in preparation for this. I didn't. But yeah, no, I agree. We should obviously have a full list of that.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
handle that. Question for you, Mr. Chairman. In the conversation this morning with
Mhm.
the Adult Activity Center, did they have any ballpark on, a ramp could go from a temporary ramp
I know.
to several $100,000, so.
I asked that. No, they do not. But they don't think it was going to be a high price. And
I'm going to reach out to Mr. Ruth then on that one.
okay, good. Yeah, good idea. But no, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and I think the whole telehealth idea is fantastic, you know, so I really want to see that be created, and I think the reasoning for the ramp really makes sense, so.
Yeah.
That's why it's on the list. Found out about it this morning, so. All right, anything else that we want to consider tonight? When do you think we need to really have this finalized? I'm not in tune with their timeline as much.
We've got some time. Hold on. It's March, April.
Okay.
Typically April.
Okay, so we got time. Okay. All right, so keep thinking about it, and then we can continue discussing this. If we want to add more, we can. And yeah, that's it. Okay, that was it. Minutes. We have several sets. All the 2024 meetings, the January 13th, 2026 meetings are still being reviewed. So June 4th, 2024, July 9th, 2024, July 16th, 2024, and July 23rd, 2024. Any issues with any of these minutes that anyone has identified?
Are these all you again, Renee?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore, just so you know.
Yeah, I just really appreciate all of the ones that you've done.
We are 2 years behind. It's
Yeah.
beyond embarrassing at this
Better
point.
than it used to be.
Yep.
But yeah, still behind.
See what I can do. You know, to that, I really, thank you so much for going
No,
through
you're
some
welcome,
of
but-
them, and to do the edits that were done by the external minute clerks. We still have quite a few sets of minutes that
I'll take
are
some.
sitting there that need to be reviewed. If anybody else wants to pick up that banner and,
Might pick your
I
brain.
don't think anyone else wants to.
I know, but,
Hopefully-
you know, a
hopefully
little
we
peer
will.
pressure never
Yeah.
hurt.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the sets of minutes from 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Any abstentions?
Aye.
The motion passes 401.
So Jen, you're not going to add any more, right? Because some did pop in, I noticed. You're not adding any more?
What?
Like
Well,
2024
there's still,
that aren't on this list?
on 2020,
Yeah,
I'd
a
have
new
to
one
look.
popped up for 2024, and I was
got-
like, oh,
we've got minute writers still working out there.
wow.
Where are you?
Um,
The gap is getting closed,
Minutes
though,
not
on minutes that haven't been drafted. It's
Okay.
getting all over.
Do you, like, how many? Do we have a rough idea?
Yeah, I mean, I can pull it up for you.
No, it's okay. No,
Okay.
that's fine. I'm just curious
I
if you
mean,
knew.
I have a whole spreadsheet.
I know.
with all-
It
yeah.
was
Yeah.
like 30.
Oh, God,
It-
wow.
It grew a little,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so a lot.
lot.
All right, well, thank you, Renee.
Yeah,
and
so
I
it's, you know, these are, to the folks that are listening to this conversation and not really following perhaps, the select board was behind for some time on minutes. We used a series of minute writers who are external to the town of Lunenburg, who don't necessarily know that Rhonda Licio lives on 181
yeah.
Reservoir Road, and has her name and her address. And so, you know, you have to edit for kind of accuracy of who are the people and what are the names, and there's just a bulk of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, since Elaine left, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, committee reports?
All right, so Planning Board met last night. The 1 Main Street to Dunkin' Donuts plan was withdrawn. Public hearing for 30 Summer Street was continued. That's going to be a storage facility. The Planning Department is fully staffed. The tree warden, they had a public hearing. A lot actually to do at 1083 Northfield Road. They're going to be moving or removing a stone wall and kind of moving it about, as well as 2 trees. That was approved. They also approved minor changes to the common driveway permit that they had. They proposed minimum minor changes, and it was approved, as well as an approval not required as far as redoing the lot lines, and that was all 1083 Northfield Road. Public hearing at 301 Mass Ave, that's Walmart. They're going to be redoing essentially the striping in the parking lot, moving the online pickup from in front of the store to the side of the store. That was approved. There's a lot going on at 0 Reservoir Road by Goodrich. That hearing was continued as well, stormwater and a special permit for the common driveway there. And Chair Brenner was assigned to the 925 RFP group. That's it.
The Board of Assessors met on the 4th. They did welcome the new finance director, Karen Barrett, who has prior assessing and munis experience. There was some major discussion focused on overlay status, the senior means tested tax relief funding, the exemptions and abatements, and the preparation for the FY26 motor vehicle excise commitment. Operationally, the board is moving forward with a major neighborhood reclassification project to improve the assessment equity, addressing 7 problematic parcel numbering issues, and working to resolve munis and vision system integration problems. Temporary special assistant position will be posted to support the work. I saw it downstairs when I walked in. The board adopted a code of conduct and established the senior means tested tax relief application deadline as the first Wednesday in September, and the members signed the FY26 motor vehicle excise commitment totaling about $1.82 million. The school committee met also on the 4th. The district received a high-impact tutoring grant through Ignite Reading, serving about 117 of the primary students with daily one-on-one reading support starting in March. The committee expressed concerns about special education capacity following prior budget cuts, with about 13 students currently placed out of district and potential cost increases ahead. The staffing shortages and workload pressures remain a major issue across the schools. The committee unanimously approved the 2026-2027 high school program of studies and approved limited school choice at the high school only. Members authorized the superintendent to explore repurposing the $195,000 earmark for the vans to the ADA bathroom upgrades at Turkey Hill. The FY27 budget discussions continued too, with level service estimated at $28.2 million, including about 14% for health insurance increase. Current FY26 budget of $26.2 million, including the $500,000 town contribution, and then level service versus restoration. Level service represents roughly $2 million increase over the FY26, and additional restoration positions discussed totaled roughly around $979,000. That's all I had.
Finance Committee met last Thursday. In addition to the stormwater utility budget that was presented and discussed, I'd encourage people to watch that presentation. They also had Monty Tech in, and they gave very good presentation. The budget's not finalized, so it's preliminary, but they explained all of the funding and everything. I was watching on my phone on the plane, so I couldn't read the slides because it was too small, but it looks like they were very, very detailed and very good. It sounded like it was going to be a big number again. 8 point something percent is what we're guessing.
Roughly what I guesstimated that they were going to come in at.
So it's not going to be lower than what we estimated. And I think, well, you talked about capital at that meeting as well. I think that was it. And I guess our meeting this week still, even if we don't have the preliminary budget, I would assume.
Yeah.
They even kind of hinted at it. It was kind of like the formula that the state's providing says that Lunenburg needs to pay more money, and that's why we're paying more than some other towns, even to Monty Tech, never mind just for us.
That was one of the best presentations on the formula that I do not understand it, having watched it, but I'll need to watch it at least 17 more times. But that was one of the best presentations that I've seen.
I forget her name, but she was very
Articulate?
very good at explaining it.
Yep.
It was a good presentation.
Mhm.
I don't like the number that came out, we're going to see, but.
Yeah.
And it helps having a finance director who's there year after year and coming back
Exactly.
to present stuff to
You could
town.
tell that team has worked together for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, council. Oh, no, I just didn't know if someone was speaking. Council on Aging met this morning, and they had their meeting with the state delegation to discuss programs and activities in Beacon Hill for senior citizens. So they talked about Rep. Kuchmerik's bill for caregivers, which will include additional resources to caregivers as well as tax benefits to caregivers with substantial funding, upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's part of a larger effort that Representative Kuchmerik is really leading. Rep. Scarsdale is also a part of it, but that's going on Beacon Hill. That's going to probably continue for the next couple of years. Kuchmerik shared his story about being a caregiver for both of his parents for over a decade. So it was interesting to hear his personal experience and why this is so important to him. There's a commission that was a part of some bill to create a commission to evaluate the state of caregiving in the Commonwealth, to identify what additional resources are needed, and to also study what other states are doing to support caregivers, whether that is including paying spouses as they work as caregivers. They also discussed something that's going on where there's an increase in the number of high school students serving as primary caregivers. So they're also collaborating with the Secretary of Education to help with that as well. And Representative Scarsdale shared her personal experience of dropping out of high school to support her family when she was a junior in high school. So it was really interesting to hear their personal connection to this work that I actually didn't know about. There's another bill for home care reform that will introduce some more oversight and credentialing requirements that the legislature started separate from all of this after the fire that happened at that facility in Fall River several months ago. They talked a lot about the human services workforce, how the number of people going into it is declining while the proportion of the population that are seniors and really need these services is increasing, and what they're trying to do to encourage people to stay in the industry and also to enter it in the industry. But this seems to be something that Beacon Hill is really focusing on right now, which I kind of touched on when we were talking about earmarks, but apparently there's been over 22 bills filed in this session relating to home health and caregiving. They talked a little bit about elevators in homes to help seniors stay in their homes. Representative Scarsdale did a lot of research on this, and typically it can cost people up to $50,000, sometimes even more, to install elevators in their homes. But what Representative Scarsdale found is that seniors can get a letter of medical necessity through their insurance company, and then once you have that, you can start getting waivers, for example. Apparently Medicare offers waivers. The VA has some of these benefits for veterans. So there are options out there that can decrease the costs. Also, FSAs can be used as well for a source of reimbursement. And Representative Scarsdale is going to share all that research that she found, not only on this, but also other programs that seniors can look into with the Council on Aging, so that we can start advertising this a little better. And some installers, also, I forgot to mention this, some elevator installers do actually accept Medicare and Medicaid as well. They talked about the aging services of North Central Massachusetts. So they can help with assessment work for homes to identify needs for mobility and access, and to help identify payment sources. Talked about how the state is having budget challenges, just as we are. A lot of federal funding, for example, that we have had for years has been taken away, and that's something that we're dealing with. Representative Scarsdale spoke a little bit about the satellite emergency facility in Groton that is being worked on now and should be opened, I believe, at the end of this year. She also got the recognition that she deserved for really leading the effort on that, and for, quite frankly, forcing the governor to really focus on this region with the creation of that facility, and also including the requirement that $500 million of the funding for this region from that supplemental budget that was passed is dedicated specifically for the towns that were affected by the closure of Neshoba Valley. So that was the meeting with the state delegation. The Council on Aging also discussed creating a process by which they can select honorary board members. So they're discussing the formal criteria of who can qualify for that. They were thinking maybe 4 terms on the Council on Aging. So they're going to continue those discussions. Evening meals are going to be a thing soon, and additional programming in the evening for seniors who can't attend the center during the day and miss out on their meals. Let's see. Okay, so programming, a lot of programming going on. Always really impressed by the amount of stuff that they have going on. Balance class is going to be every single Monday at 3:30 now, starting in March, because that has been so popular. The Women's Club held an auction last week that I'm told was a hit, with over 50 people attending. And the Friendly Seniors did karaoke yesterday with almost 50 people attending, and I was told that's a hit as well. I saw some videos from that. People looked like they were having a lot of fun. Tomorrow there's going to be a vegan wellness workshop. If you're curious about vegan cooking, you can attend that. Thursday there's going to be a Valentine's lunch with a Valentine-themed musical bingo. Tuesday the 17th, they're doing a Mardi Gras luncheon. Thursday the 26th, there's a wellness clinic held by Neshoba Board of Health. They do memory cafes every single month, and I believe the March Memory Cafe will feature bunnies from Good Pickin' Farms. And then in April, Brandon Harris, who is a recently graduated high school senior who has been performing at the town's Memorial Day commemoration, plans on doing a musical performance there. And then on March 9th, in partnership with the Historical Society, they're going to be holding a Meet John Adams event at the Adult Activity Center at 1 p.m. So if you want to meet John Adams, then March 9th at the Adult Activity Center. So a lot going on. Very impressed with the amount of work that they're doing. Capital Planning is meeting tomorrow, and the Bylaw Review Committee is meeting Thursday. Okay. Public comment. Is there any public comment from the public? Not seeing any in the room. Any on Zoom? Mr. Burden.
Yes, thank you very much. And do realize it's getting late for you guys, and I want to thank you for the good work that you do. But, you know, the concerns that we're raising...
Mr. Burden? Sorry to interrupt.
Excuse me?
Can you just begin with your name and address?
Okay, sure. Yep, George Burden, 39 Cortlandt Circle, representing my family, Jennifer, and our 3 daughters. Just wanted to, you know, understand that it is, we realize it is getting late, and we'll try to keep it as short as we can. Want to thank you, the board, for the work they do. That we do see some good work being done here. But we just want the residents to understand why the concerns that we're raising is basically to raise our rights against what we've been persecuted against, we feel, by the town. Fully aboard there, but we want to also just comment on a couple things that you've mentioned. The mosquito program, we think it's a great thing. Our association has used it. The residents in our association have used it, and we've used it as on our 160-acre property. We think it's a benefit. However, we do realize the concerns maybe of you know, the benefits of spraying versus not having it, right? So there was some concerns raised by the board of closing your windows and so forth when they're spraying. What's the offset of the benefits of not having it? I think those are, you know, legitimate concerns to look at when you research this and the comparison of the cost. So basically a cost-benefit kind of analysis in the respect that you could look at how much does it cost to spray once, and is that enough, you know, for the year? Those kind of things versus the 90,000 or whatever was quoted there. But that's just some things we wanted to mention, a comment. Also regarding salt and sand on the roads, regarding the wastewater, we use quite a lot of sand and salt on our roads in the association. So I think there should be a very much of a concern there of how that is, you know, implemented and looked at, and, you know, documented and recorded of what's done in an association this large. We also we were very shocked about how Officer Capucci was promoted to a sergeant after he had laughed in my face when we raised a concern of a complaint to him about the police in our family with disorderly housekeep, which was a sign of a prostitution. When we brought that to his concern of our 3 daughters raising a concern about that, he laughed in my face. It was disgusting to me. And if someone did that in any civil job or position, they would be fired, not promoted. Could the board or town provide any comment on what appears to be a lawsuit in the town is against Tyco for a water contamination concern? I'm going to ask that as a question and stop there for a second. If you can't answer that question, just let me know. I do have a few more comments and I will finish at that point. No comment? You can't comment about if the lawsuit that appears that the town has against Tyco for a water contamination?
Mr. Burden, if you want to continue with your public comment, you can.
I'm sorry?
If you want to continue with your public comment, you can. If there's anything else you want to say.
Okay, thank you. Yes, with regard to the obvious and serious concerns we raised earlier in the meeting, that being, a municipality having public funds to a private HOA, how could such a payment occur without required supporting documentation? Maybe we could have the Lincolns donate a pavilion to our association where a dear friend once lived, and appears our association members of 44 were charged the same amount with no explanation provided, which appears to be the same type of scheme, some type of scheme. A lawful municipality expenditure cannot be processed without the actual invoice received, a purchase order, internal authorization, work descriptions, logs, communications, documenting what form, internal emails or approvals, records explaining the legal basis for issuing public funds to a private association. We'd love to understand this. If these records truly do not exist, that would indicate a breakdown in financial controls and compliance with public funding requirements. However, my family's taken to a civil complaint by the town as we raise these concerns. We also believe your office should be aware that our efforts to obtain information and address concerns about these expenditures and our conditions on private property for which we are deeded owners have been met with retaliatory civil and criminal actions by the town. Several of these actions have already been shown to be unfounded. This is seen as very malicious and retaliatory after raising valid and concerning issues.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burden.
Faced legal pressures. Yes.
Thank you. Have a good night, Mr. Burden.
Okay, we will continue next time the rest of it. We have a little more, but we'll attend the next meeting and continue. Thank you.
All righty. Any other public comment from the public? Anyone else on Zoom? All right. Seeing none, any public comment from the town manager tonight?
No.
Any public comment from the board?
I just have a quick one that I would stand by the promotions that we just ratified tonight of our other 2 officers. And I think that their accolades that the chief spoke to earlier stand for themselves, and I'm fully supportive of both officers that were promoted tonight.
Absolutely. I think we all are, and I think most of the community is as well.
I will not be in attendance on the 17th.
You will not be in attendance on the 17th. Okay, thank you. I'll make a note of that.
We don't have a date for the next tri-board, right?
Nope, in progress.
I think from the sounds of, well, I did just see that a school committee meeting got calendared for Friday, but from the sounds of our conversation, really until the school committee has to work on developing a number and what that number may be for what we have a restoration budget, we have a level service budget. There's perhaps something in between those, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what the school committee would be bringing forward.
Did you say they're meeting on a Friday?
I just saw it come through that they're meeting Friday. I had thought I think that though, we're probably talking a couple weeks from the sounds of it in the meeting that we had with the chairs last, that they're gonna need at least into March, really to, I think, get a better number.
Yeah, so beginning of March, probably.
Do we have a select board meeting the last week of February?
No, not unless we really need one, but No.
I'm just asking because we're trying to find a time for stormwater.
Oh, yeah, no, go for it.
Go.
Yeah.
School vacation week
Yeah.
is kind of messing people up.
All right, any other board comment? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 10:12 PM.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. It is 10:12 PM and the select board is adjourned. I hope you all have a good night, and we will see you next week.